Okay, we're recording. We're not live yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna set that up now on Facebook.
Scoot back.
Testing, 1, 2,
I'm gonna get
3.
you. I'm
Testing.
gonna carry. No.
Share to page you manage. Share
Go.
to the flip side page.
Come on.
Next.
That's awesome.
Preparing live streaming preview. With 1 minute to go.
My cat might jump in.
Mine too.
That's cool. It's like The Godfather.
I have somebody who's participating said they're wearing sparkly, something sparkly to represent the 90s and late and early 2000s.
Nice.
And it's hashtag the flip side Sundance 20.
Yeah, we good with that? Are you guys okay with that? Okay.
Okay.
How many people here just by, maybe I'll ask this too. How many folks here by show of hands still work in the entertainment industry?
Okay, are we ready? We're 5 o'clock.
Okay.
I think
As
I can
best
go
as
live
I
now.
can.
Okay.
Winston,
Ready when you are.
okay, and on 3,
Looking for management or agent.
2, 1.
Anybody.
And just confirm with me with a thumbs up if you guys see it streaming live.
Wait, what? What am I doing?
Yeah, I think we're live.
All right.
Live.
So depending on where you are in the world, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, and welcome to the 20th anniversary of the Flip Side at Sundance. 20 years ago this month, and at the onset of a new millennium, filmmaker Rod Pulido and his film, The Flip Side, made history by becoming the first Filipino-American feature to be selected for the prestigious and ultra-competitive Sundance Film Festival. Filipinos from across the continent, seemingly, many trailblazers in their own right in fields ranging from film and music to fashion and tech, from politics to academia, descended upon Park City, Utah, in what amounted to a Pinoy takeover of the festival. Spirits were high, inspiration was overflowing, and I think everybody to a person felt that they were fueled and ready to take this to the next cultural step. Here we are 20 years later, 2 decades later, and Flipside is still the only Filipino-American feature to be selected the Sundance Film Festival. So we're here joined by the cast and of course the filmmaker, Rod Pulido. Welcome everybody.
Hey, happy anniversary, everyone.
Rod, I think we should start this since it's been 20 years and I think more than a handful of people need refreshers on this. Let's talk about the genesis of the Flip Side. Where did it start? Where did the idea stem from? And was it always intended to be a feature, and was your target always a festival like Sundance?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I went to film school at Long Beach State, and I just graduated. And I wanted to make my first feature guerrilla style, like all of my film idols, Spike Lee, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez. I wanted to go through that baptism by fire. And so I set about writing a screenplay that I could shoot ultra low budget in one location. And really the goal for me was to just try to write a comedy that wouldn't bore anybody, as far as being in one location. And it's basically based on the people I grew up with, and a lot of myself is in all of the characters, and parts of my family. I would say that my brother Mark is very influenced by the Darius character, being very politicized, and I was definitely the Davis character. I would that's stoop, that's stairs that he tries to jump on. I did that all the time, trying to stretch and dunk a basketball. So yeah, it was basically just based on my own life experience. I mean, of course, exaggerated, and just wanted to make it into a satire and just comment on Filipino identity and show where we're at as a people.
And then, so tell us about, so you've got the script and now you've decided you want to make this film, right? Let's talk about casting. And this is a wonderful way. And, initially I was going to introduce people, then I was going to have you do it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's let the cast introduce themselves. What better way to do that? So maybe if we can start, with Clint, just introduce yourself, Clint, the role you played in the movie, and then we'll just work our way down.
Hello, I'm Clint. I played Roland. That was a comedic role. I had a blast playing it, and it was great. It was a great experience, and I thank Rod for the opportunity.
Right. All right, Clint.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's go to the star, the mom, Mrs. Pulido. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm so proud. Until now, 20 years later, I'm still so thrilled about the making of The Flip Side. To me, it shows a great deal about our Filipino culture. It tells about our family. There's love with the siblings and also love among the parents. And it's good to show that to the whole world that we're good people
Thank you. Thank you.
and talented people. Thank
And now let's go to Rona.
Hey there, I'm Rona Parr, and I played Marvick, and the older sister who was obsessed with not wanting to be Filipino, which, I think for people from my generation, I think we did really struggle with identity there. I was just talking to my husband earlier today, and I think I was like, hey, when you were a kid, do you ever wonder what you look like? Or what you would look like if you were blonde and blue-eyed, because I know I definitely did that as a kid. So because of that, this was just, one of the first, it was the first film I had done, and I had such a blast, and I was so honored to be a part of this film. And this is definitely one of my favorite characters that I played.
And now let's go to Screen Actors Guild member for close to 4 decades, if not more, the father, Mr. Pagtama. Oh. Abe, you're on mute. Abe, you're on mute. Can you unmute? We want to get everything. We want to make sure we get everything you said. Okay.
Maybe not.
Okay. Okay.
There
There
you
you go.
There you go. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Abe Pagtama. I'm played the dad, and I'm glad I got into this project. It's been a while. I think we shoot it 22 years ago, and we didn't get into shoot it in the premiere until about 20 years now. So I'm glad I got in this project, and it was a blast because at that time I wasn't acting for at least 10 years before I got back into acting again. So I'm glad I'm still here.
Great.
All right.
And now to Verwin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Verwin, and I play Mark Pulido. I mean, it's, the the college kid that comes back and really going through it, the identity crisis of trying to connect with his Filipino heritage and figure out what that means to him in the setting, with the family setting and suburban setting, and of course the siblings. And yeah, had a lot of fun with this character being sandwiched between Rona and Joma.
Great. And last but not least, let's go to Joma.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joma Saenz. I played Davis Dela Cruz in the family, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. That whole experience of filming Flipside, that was like a boot camp in film acting. And I can honestly say that, Rod gave me a solid foundation for, a lot of work I've done afterward. Had a huge impact on my life.
Fantastic. Now, this is a DIY film in every sense of the word. So much so that Rod had to go deep into his family to recruit behind the camera crew. So Mark and Marisa, who are representing the crew side of the cast and crew, can you please introduce yourselves and your roles?
Go ahead, Marisa.
So my name's Marisa Pulido Rabaya, and I'm Rod's older sister. And I served as a production assistant, just helping out however I could on this project. And I'm just so blessed to be their sister, both Rod and Mark, and our older brother, Randy, and the proud daughter of Rodolfo and Ester Pulido. Everything goes.
I just want to point out that the sister in the movie is not based on Marisa.
That was going to be a
Not
question.
at all.
I was actually going to wonder about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that, because if you weren't going to do it, I was. But thanks to everyone out there all over the world who are attending. Hopefully our relatives in the Philippines too. And yeah, I'm just so proud and happy for all of us that were part of this project.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been done without all of our hard work, but by the grace of God, we've been so blessed this past 20 years that this film is still relevant. So thank you.
Yeah, on that note, I want to acknowledge the folks who aren't with us anymore, part of the production. My dad, Rudy Pulido, who served as our executive producer. Without him, we have no movie. He basically let us shoot in his house for a full month. Brought the entire cast and crew lunch and dinner every day. And, he's just such a huge influence in my life and so supportive. And of course, the late great Mang Peping Baclig, who played Lolo, who's aside from acting in the film, he's such a huge activist in the community. And I really think that he was the soul of the film. His character is just puts everything in perspective as far as historically and where our people have been and where we're going. So I just wanted to acknowledge them and say God bless to both of them. And I know that they're both with us in spirit.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm Mark Pulido. My role with the flip side is just to be the supportive brother of our youngest sibling, Rod. He's probably the most talented of our family, definitely the tallest in the family and best looking. Forever youthful looking. But hey, Verwin, thanks for saying that you played the Mark Pulido role. I just have to give it up to my sister Marisa. If anything, she really was the first in the family to go off to college and to really go through that search for identity. So not just the fact that she wasn't the basis for Rona's character, but quite the contrary. It was really her search for identity that enabled me to even be interested in going to college and going on my own journey. And I just want to thank Rod for giving our whole family the opportunity to share our struggles and our joys of discovering ourselves, discovering our heritage, our culture, the importance of giving back to our community. through this beautiful project. And on another note, beyond just the gratitude I have for our family, I just wanted to say on behalf of our hometown community, for you to shoot this entirely in our hometown of Cerritos, using the childhood home that we grew up in, and giving the youth of our community an opportunity to be, casted in this film, and to work behind the scenes also to learn the craft and to be mentored under your leadership. And for the legacy, the 20-year legacy that you collectively, all of you, the cast and crew, have given to our community, not just in the United States, but I believe there's a global audience in the Filipino diaspora that connects with the very important message of the flip side. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, well said, Darius. Sorry, Mark.
Maybe we should unmute everyone's mic and just open it up.
Well, I think, well, this is the question now, because here we talked about your roles, and let's talk about when you guys first got wind of what has to be one of the rarest experiences you may have had as a professional actor, and that is to see an actual role that is specifically Filipino-American. What was your reaction when you saw this? And how long or how fast did it take you to get an audition? Anybody can chime in.
I want to just jump in on that if I may. Yeah, because I mean, in a fantastic way, I feel like the flip side spoiled me a little bit, because this was the first film I had auditioned for. And to see a character that I totally was like, I know this person, I know who she is. And then to film it was such a wild ride. And then to go to Sundance. And then, I have to say, like, everything after, well, not everything after, but, like a lot of things after, I was like, wait, what am I going in for? What am I? Like just these random, like I can't even think of the top of my head now, like just random characters that I've auditioned that were not my experience at all, or were not even close to being a real Asian American experience, And so definitely I think in my naivete, I didn't realize how significant and how special this role was until way later, and and that I'm realizing now, like, wow, just how impactful it was, how important it was, because like we've seen, we still haven't seen anything in Sundance from the Filipino-American community since. And and even as recently, I know Tamlin Tamita said something recently about, why isn't there any Filipino, nurses, or, in a lot of more of our TV shows and media or whatever, when we know that, a lot of our community are out there working in hospitals right now, saving us all from COVID, and so we definitely need more representation. Yes, Verwin, I'm shouting out to you too. But, so like, it was just, such an incredible experience. And I just feel so blessed that that this kind of, fell in my lap in a, very serendipitous kind of way. So, I mean, not fell in my lap, but.
Right. Thank you. Well, Abe, you're no stranger to auditions. You've been a working actor for a long time. What was your reaction to getting a role that was specifically Filipino and auditioning for it and then getting it?
Yeah, like I mentioned a while ago, well, to start with, I started acting in the movies and TVs in 1973, and then it was so hard to get a role. Filipino. In fact, I was thinking about changing my name to Chan or Matsura or anything but Filipinos, because before this, I never got the Filipino role at all. And that's the reason why there was a gap that I was still doing a lot of theaters and all like that in the Filipino community. And I want to thank Fee Combs to telling me to audition for this role. So, okay, I'll try it again. so I did. And it took about maybe 2 weeks or something like that before I found out I got the role. So, okay, and guess I'm going back as an actor again. so yeah, it was exciting, and also, but I also understand the process of auditioning and all like that. And finally, when I got this role, I said, "Wow, we're ready for Hollywood." You know, somebody's writing about us. And I didn't realize that it will take another 20 years. It's still, you know, being an actor right now, it's still hard. But at least the younger people right now has a better understanding of being an actor in Hollywood. So I was excited when I got it. I didn't really know how big was it at that time, but I'll talk to you more about it when we get to Sundance.
Great.
But it's really great that I got the role. Thank you, Rod, for giving me the chance to do this. Thanks.
Hey, so since we're talking about auditions, I was going through all my old Flipside stuff, and I came along some of you guys' headshots. Like Miss Ronalee Parr.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh my God.
I swear you look like an astronaut's wife in this.
Was this before or after you were the spokeswoman for Clairol?
I know.
And, you know, I think you
One of the Jetsons.
You're the only one in the entire cast who gave me a headshot. So professional. I think I remember. Was it Clint? I think he gave me his senior picture. So yeah, props to Rona. Look, even her name.
Judy Jetson. Yeah, isn't that what John Castro called me? Was like Judy Jetson or something? Like I just. Yeah.
Well, John's going to join us later. We'll ask him definitively. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yes. Yeah.
Going back to what Rod was saying, I don't think any of us, except for maybe Rona, had a headshot. I went to high school with Jose at the time, now, and I was in a dance crew with Clint. And when we found out all about there was auditions for a movie about Filipinos, we were so excited to just even audition. This is like the first film we've ever auditioned for, and we definitely well by that. And then the fact that we all got into the film was even more exciting for us. It was like, you know, it's possible. Like our stories being told is possible. Us being in film is possible. And I just remember that excitement because, you know, we were just doing high school plays and all of a sudden now we're gonna do a movie, which was something bigger and we didn't know what to expect. And it was gonna be bigger than we ever imagined it would be. And then another, just to go off what Ron was saying, I remember being in auditions after that thinking like, oh man, I had it really good, or I was really spoiled, because they would always tell me I look too dark for Asian roles, maybe try Hispanic roles. And then when I auditioned for Hispanic roles, they said I look too Asian. So there was just nowhere to go. And so like, I think from starting off with the flip side and then going into film and auditioning from that point on, it was really a wake-up call. Like it was kind of a eye-opening.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else want to share a story before we get to? Yes, Ms. Pulido.
Sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Ever since I was a little girl, I love the movies.
Okay.
My mama loves to take. I was her only granddaughter that she took to the movies, because when we get home, my nanay, I call her nanay, that is my lola. She said, Ester, halika rito. In Tagalog, say, come here. Why don't you, let's tell the story again, the movie. And you act it out, huh? So we in one corner of and said, "Oh, sige, you dance." I love to dance. I never took dancing lesson, but all the movies with Shirley Temple, I could dance just like Shirley Temple. Eh, I was not even in school yet, and my auntie, she was a teacher, and she would take me to her home and spend maybe a month or so, and I would stay in her classroom, and I would sing for them and dance. That's wow, I must have been only about 5 years old. And she she thought I was good enough. I was able to my first performance. I was dancing in my auntie's school. They had a Christmas program, and there was this dance with the music, tico 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 tico. I was only 5 years old, and I was in the spotlight already. So that's my life story.
Well,
Grade
so how cool
school
that it took a
in the
lifetime.
Philippines, I learned how to dance all the folk dances, and I would perform with my friends. And in college, I played the role of Liat. You know Liat, the
Yes.
South Pacific,
Yeah.
and my long hair.
Well, how cool that it took a lifetime for
Then I
you
got
to get this
married.
role in film with your son directing you. How cool is that?
By that time, I was in college. I was already in the United.
Verwin was also in South Pacific.
Verwin was in the same
Yeah.
one? Same production?
I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, I was I'm living in the United States already. We're a military family, and I went to college, and I learned how to modern dance. The teacher was so impressed with my dancing. He said, "Esther, you can join our modern dance club. You don't have to audition. I like the way you dance. It shows the Asian influence in you. I make up my dances like that." So anyway, I got married.
If I could just interrupt for a second. I just remember every time I would go out to audition actors, because I held auditions on the Long Beach State campus, and I would right before I'd go, my mom would always say, "Where are you going? You auditioning actors?" You know I'm the only one who's gonna play the mom, right? You're not auditioning. You're not.
So
auditioning
there was
moms,
already
are
a
you?
campaign for the role then, yes, right?
Pay me, just feed me. You got
So we'll this will be our last two questions before we get to the Sundance stuff. So Rod, really quick, given what you know now or what you've heard, how much pressure was there to put a dance scene for your mom in the movie? And two, what was it like, honest question, what was it like to direct your mother?
Oh my God, yeah. There was so much pressure just to cast her.
Yeah.
She would always drop these, not even hints. She would say, "Oh, so you want to shoot the movie in our house, huh?"
Oh, so there was a little bit of blackmail.
Yeah, I think if you cast someone else as the mom, like that actor would have been sabotaged somehow.
Right. Yeah. The kitchen wouldn't be available for certain hours.
The stairs collapse while I'm hanging off it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. The laundry machine will be going on at times.
So that's where they started the TikTok, huh?
TikTok, very good. Hey, Pagtama, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Okay, so now,
so hip.
we've got the casting aside, you've completed the movie, and I think we can talk about that in detail for another discussion, but let's get to, you finished the film, and now comes the process of getting a film to be seen by an audience, an important audience that will hopefully get you distribution. So as much as people would like to think otherwise, the whole independent film world sadly is politicized. It is a matter of who you know and who can get your film in. And knowing that, Rod, how did you position Flipside, if at all, into getting into Sundance?
Oh yeah, definitely it's political. It's really who you know. You can't just drop your film in the mail and expect to get in based on merit.
Right.
I knew we had made a good film, but I knew that I needed to get some kind of an edge. And at the time, I was pretty much read every book made on independent film. I've read all of the books put out by Robert Rodriguez and Kevin Smith and Spike Lee. And so from that, I learned about the independent feature film market. And I found out that some Sundance programmers were going to be there. So, I'd never been to New York before. So flew out there, slept on a friend's couch, and just on the off chance that I could talk to a Sundance programmer. And then I remember on the very last day, the Sundance held a workshop, and Heather Ray, the head of the Native Forum, she asked the audience, there's a huge audience of about 500 people. She's asked if there were any Asian or Pacific Islander filmmakers in the crowd.
Wow.
I was probably like one of three who raised their hand.
Okay.
And so then I was able to give her the tape, and we started an email correspondence, and she said how she loved the film, and she said she would fight for it. And she really had to fight for it, because the Native Forum is reserved for Native American films. And so all the other Sundance programmers loved the movie, but they're wondering, why does she want to put this Filipino-American film in the Native Forum? And she said, because it touches on similar issues of identity and assimilation in America and finding your place. And so pretty much we all owe it to Heather Ray for fighting for the movie.
Wow. So interesting that it was someone who was involved with the Native Forum seeking out an opportunity for Asian Pacific Islander filmmakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would only have to be, a person of color looking out after another person of color.
Hmm.
That was your
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so between that process and let's say the day you received the notice, was it a phone call? Was it a letter? Was it an email? How did you get wind? And did you have any inkling that you might have had a chance?
Yeah, I knew there was a solid chance, but she told me all of the other programmers' issues with it. So she said, it was probably like a 50-50 chance,
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't getting my hopes up. And I remember the day that they were supposed to notify me, Heather said that she would call me about 10, no later than 10 at night. And 10 o'clock came and went, and I went to sleep feeling so depressed. I went to bed. I was just laying in bed, and about 11:15, the phone rang. I just leaped out of bed, and I got the good news. And it was just a complete 180 emotional turn, where I went from being completely depressed and not knowing what I'm going to do with this movie to just being completely elated. I was just jumping up and down and hugging my wife and screaming. And even to this day, I know how lucky I am, because so many independent filmmakers do exactly what I did. Make a good movie, save all their money, put into it, and they don't see little return at the end. But God, I was just, even to this day, I still feel blessed.
So how did you break the news to your cast?
You know, they'll probably remember better than I do. I think I pretty much called everybody, but as far as individually, God, it's pretty hazy. Maybe we should ask them.
Okay, does anybody want to chime in? Do you remember? Okay, number one, let me ask the cast this. Did you guys know the significance of Sundance? Had it reached you? Like, you know, so we get into Sundance. What does that mean? I know that means something big in the film world, but what did that mean to you guys when you heard? Did you know what that was, the significance of getting into this festival?
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Anybody can chime
To
in.
be honest with you, I don't really know too much about Sundance, but I have a friend named Chris Castillo that when he found out we're going to Sundance, he was more excited than me. So, you know, so, yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna drive, or what we're gonna do. So he told me about it. He said, "Okay, we'll go." You know, so I start researching a little bit about Sundance and the whole thing like that. I still wasn't excited about it. I don't know why. You know, it's just the biggest thing in the world. So when we got the story about that, you know, I asked for leave and all like that. So okay, we're gonna go to Sundance. So yeah, it will be great. So we got there, and you know, there's more story. I don't want to say everything right now.
Save the good stories, Dave. We just save that good story for when we get to actual Sundance. So yes.
Yes. So that's the way. I really don't know too much about Sundance when we got there.
Okay, that's great. And it's you mentioned Chris, rest in peace, who is no longer with us. But you mentioned that he was more excited. I could very easily see him jumping up. In fact, I think I remember him being very super excited for this. So, anyone else want to chime in? Did anyone else know the significance of Sundance when you got in? After Rod said, you know, hey, we got in. So but that's interesting because it goes to show how insular that world is, right? This is supposed to be, you know, the one entry point for independent cinema, and look what a well-kept secret it is, even amongst, you know, creators, right? The folks didn't know that. So, but again, it goes to show how much work still needs to be done there 20 years after the fact. Maybe that's why it's 20 years after the fact. There's still only been you. Okay, so we're at Sundance. You got in. Now comes the planning part. How are you gonna, you know, now all you have to do is screen. And I think that's when you initiate one of your secret weapons in this.
Oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Your recon team of Marisa and Mark.
Oh yeah.
You know, you know, two people on the production side who basically parachuted in Park City or Salt Lake City. What is it, a month in advance, you guys, to kind of reconnoiter and identify potential allies? And
I looked back at my calendar from that year, 2001, and it was actually 2 weeks before Sundance. So that Friday night, Mark and I flew from LAX to Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And I have it written down my calendar. We took like the 8 p.m. flight, flew in, stayed there Saturday and Sunday, and we left Monday morning. The first flight available was 8 a.m. because just a reminder, 20 years ago, I was just starting out my career. I just finished grad school, and Mark was also still starting his career, and we were both working. And I was just blessed to be able to get time off for Sundance and for what we call the reconnaissance trip.
Right.
So it was 2 weeks before Sundance that we were there.
And I know, Mark, you took some of the principles of community organizing with you and organizing community here to rally behind this seminal moment in our history. And you reached out to the local Filipino-American community in Salt Lake City, which many people don't know there is one, right? And you utilize them as allies. So share a little bit about that story.
Thanks, Winston. Yeah, so let's see here. The previous question you had asked the cast was, did you know the significance of Sundance?
Right.
When Rod gave them the news? Well, let me start there. I knew.
Okay.
But from a supporting role, just as Rod's brother, and knowing that he was pursuing his life's passion to tell stories through film. And, he would share with our family, all these great independent movies that were coming out and all these great film directors that he admired and their stories of struggle. And for me, I had always just watched him with amazement, how he could dream so big and in pursuing a path that really seemed a high mountain to climb. And so when he gave the family the news, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And I say that as a son of, we're children of immigrants, right? Who really overcame a mountain in order to move their family to a whole new country, right? That's the Filipino immigrant story. But then to take it the next step, and for a child, Rod, child of immigrants, to take it to the next level and to try and forge his own path, and a path that, his entertainment industry. This is not the easy stuff. This is not, and not to say that engineering or the health sciences or law or any of those pursuits aren't difficult, but this was definitely a path that was yet to be taken, and the independent route nonetheless. Right? So I knew the significance. I'm pretty sure Marisa, the rest of our family, because we would always hear about Sundance and the other top film fest from Rod. So it was just completely unbelievable. And that's the reason why, to segue to your next question about what we did next. That's why Marisa and I knew it was very important for us to step up and to play the supportive role and to bring to bear all the community organizing skills that we were raised with by our parents and then honed as student activists, right, and community leaders, to apply it to Sundance, being of all places, Utah. And we were trying to figure out how in the world can we maximize this opportunity by selling out every single screening immediately, so that we could create the necessary buzz in order to propel Flipside, beyond all the other entrants in the film fest. And so that's why Marisa and I, took time off from work and flew in there. And this is at the early time of social media, right?
No cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone then.
Internet, yeah. I think I still have my pager, right? So, we scoured the internet, the early days of the internet, for anything and everything Filipino in Utah, because we were intent to find them, organize them, and persuade them to get in line the very first day to buy tickets to all the screenings of the Flipside, so that we could sell it out, create that buzz, and we were able to do that. And I believe that I think Rod could speak more to this, but they added another screening for the media, and so I think there were a total of 3, where I think there was supposed to only be 2 screenings. And how we did it, I don't want to get too much into it, but it basically was calling upon the love and support of our community, the Fil-Am community in Salt Lake City, because they're not there in Park City except those who are the workers, the hotel workers, the restaurant workers, the people who clean up the bars and all that, you know, the people who serve all those people who go to Sundance year in, year out, right? Even they came to support this. So there's one family in particular that I want to shout out, and I believe that they're going to be joining us at a certain point in the program, and that's the Narciso family. And they're just like our family, you know, immigrants with dreams of raising their family here in America. And, you know, in this case, they had 3 siblings. We actually have 4 siblings. We have an older brother, Randy. He's hanging out here in the kitchen. But the Narcisos have 3 kids. And when we went there and connected with them, I believe it was Rod's story, family story, that really resonated with them. And perhaps they could speak to that. And more broadly, the reception that the Filipino-American community in Utah had when it premiered.
Definitely. That's going to be an interesting discussion with them, because I personally would like to know what it meant for locals to be able to finally get something that represented them playing at this annual big to-do event, their biggest in the state, right? You alluded to that, Mark, and that is the second portion of our discussion today, which is with the attendees, their point of view. But we're still here, and a time check is we have a few minutes left. I believe we have about 12 minutes left here. So now we're at Sundance, and I think we have a couple of clips that we might want to play.
Yeah, we have 4 clips. I'll cue them all up, but the first one is, well, I guess
Bernie wasn't at Sundance.
While we're queuing it up, I have a question for all our friends that are streaming this live on Facebook. If you could just do us a favor of answering in the chat. Answer A if you've seen the film. Just put an A in the chat, and we'll just go by those numbers to see how many people have actually seen the film. And if you haven't, that's okay. Not a problem.
Okay. I got the first clip queued up. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen if that's okay.
Great.
And give me a thumbs up to confirm if you could see it, folks. You see it? Okay. I'm gonna start it now.
It's been so long since you've had dinner with us.
Yeah, Maribig. You're never home.
I meant Dad.
Here you go.
What the hell's this?
It's Lola's favorite.
I guess so.
Oh, Mom, did you tell everyone the news?
What news?
Mom said she'll teach us to speak Tagalog.
What?
We could practice at dinner. Oh, and Lolo, you can teach us some Ilocano. Marvick, pakiabot mo ang kanin. That means, please pass the rice. Salamat. That means thank you. Cool, huh?
Uh-huh. Cool. Who the hell does he think he is?
Man, you guys look like kids. Crazy.
I don't know about you guys, but I freaking could practically smell those spam and eggs. I don't know about you guys.
Right? That's some good Foley work there, man.
That's excellent Foley work.
Like, was that the scene though that we had to keep doing, and like we would bite the spam and then turn it around and put it down?
Oh man, our budget was so low, we just kept using the same spam.
Remember that.
Okay, so we're at you've made the announcement. You're at Sundance now. You want to rally everyone to come. Was it an easy commitment for everyone here to be a part of this? And Rod, give me your thoughts about actually physically being there. You know, knowing that
Yeah.
all your heroes have gone through this route. You know, a lot of
Yeah,
people look up to his mentors have gone this route, and here you are now.
yeah, to be honest, when I dropped down, it was just my wife and I. And honestly, I felt really isolated because nobody else had flown in.
Right.
And people always say that I was the first Fil-Am director at Sundance, but quite literally at all of the functions I would go to, all the director luncheons, I was pretty much the only person of color in the whole room. So I really stood out.
Right.
And so it was difficult getting mainstream media to talk to me. You know, they only wanted to talk to films with big stars in them. And so I was feeling very isolated and like I didn't belong. But then when it all changed when our team dropped in. I know Rona was the first one, and then the cast came in, and then God, everyone from all across the nation, from our communities, descended on Park City, and then from then on, I mean, I also felt kind of left out because I would see everyone. I'd wave to them, and they were like, "Oh, where are you going?" They were like, "Oh, we're going skiing." I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm going to another lunch." And I kind of just wish I just ditched them, ditched the luncheons and went skiing, you know, and kind of enjoyed myself more. But, you know, I was there to do a job, and, you know, I took that responsibility seriously.
Well, on a personal note, that was my first Sundance. I'd gone subsequently 19 times. And I remember running into you at the filmmaker HQ, right?
Oh, right.
Remember that? And
yeah, that was a big moment.
I don't know what prompted it, but I remember, you know, coming up to you and then doing like this little happy dance, going, I can't believe we're Sundance.
Yeah, because like I was saying, you know, there were barely any people of color there, and then I saw you. And it was like time slowed down, and it felt like a rom-com. It was like, hey. And then I remember we just leaped into each other's arms and just started jumping up and down and hugging each other and yelling Sundance. And everyone thought we were crazy.
It's no different than what those other people who know each other would do. So, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a cool moment. It was one of my favorite Sundance moments, actually. So, so everybody's at Sundance now. Let's talk about leading up to the first screening, the world premiere, right? At the Yarrow, which, you know, interestingly enough, is no longer called the Yarrow, right? But it's still there. And so you guys here you have your world premiere. How big were the butterflies in everyone's stomachs that you're going to be able to watch this with another audience for the first time publicly? Anybody want to talk about what they were feeling at that stage? Here you guys are going to be projected 30 feet high on a screen, right? And people to be able to see you perform, and Rod people to be able to see your created work. What were your thoughts? Clint, let's go with you. What were your thoughts about this world premiere? About, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're here, right? And this theater's packed. These people are here to see this movie. They're going to see me perform. What were your thoughts?
That was pretty amazing. I just remember the lines, and I remember seeing myself on screen. We brought all our friends, and that was so cool. Like, I couldn't believe how big the stage was, and yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Well, what was more exciting for you, that or going boarding later on that afternoon?
You're talking about, I'm sorry. I thought you were totally talking about the one in LA.
No. Talk about it at Sundance.
I actually wasn't at the Sundance.
Oh, you weren't at Sundance?
No, I was at the one in LA.
Okay, so we'll talk about the LA one probably in another episode. But were you getting like text messages from your fellow cast members? Was Rod giving you an update about, oh my gosh, look at this crowd, and showing you pictures from the attendees?
I was seeing like the how big it was,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wishing I was there because I love snowboarding too. I wanted to be in
See?
Utah, but it was awesome to see like this whole production come to play in Utah for Sundance, and to me, Sundance is very special.
Joma, your thoughts? Same question.
I don't remember exactly how I felt pre-screening because it was Sundance was just kind of this big blur of images, right? I remember I've never been that cold in my life. Given I probably didn't know how to dress for it. I thought I did. I had my thickest California coat, but it was not enough. And I remember Qbert being in the audience at one of the screenings.
Right.
And that was really special because, he was before all this other representation that's happening now, like DJ Qbert was Filipino-American hero there,
One of the trailblazers we alluded to at the beginning, he was there with his own film, Wave Twisters, right? But I remember them as, making it a point to come support the flip side because they saw the significance that, here was a Filipino-American film. And I know a lot of people who came there for the flip side came and supported Wave Twisters as well. So, it was a lot of community love. So that was great. One of the nice aspects too of Sundance is your close proximity to people who are instantly recognizable. Do you guys have any stories you could share about bumping into a celebrity, on the street or maybe at breakfast or, maybe in line for your movie? I know, Rod, that you have that infamous story about me seeing the guy from the Wonder Years in line to go to your party. But are there any, anybody have, Verwin, go ahead.
I have two.
Yeah.
I think the morning before the screening, when I went to Starbucks, it kind of hit me that this is kind of a big deal because I saw Ang Lee
right
at Starbucks. And then I think after the screening, and I'm sure some of the other cast members were there too, Forrest Whitaker was there. He was talking to us about the film and got a picture with him, and I realized how tall he was. And he was talking about maybe offering to host the screening. And I thought that, wow, this is a big deal. And so, I mean, he was very personable. Like I feel like he was just one of the audience members talking about, the film in general. Actually, I mistook him from the back. I thought he was the guy with the long dreads that looked like the Predator, who was a New York Times critic.
Right.
Elvis
Yeah, that was Elvis Mitchell.
Yeah, so I thought that was him at first. Like, oh no, he's a lot taller. Oh, that's Forrest Whitaker.
Awesome. And I know there's a couple of photos that are out there. I know maybe people that are viewing in can share it if they have it. I know there were some pictures taken with Forrest Whitaker at there at the theater. So if you have it, drop us a line there in the chat on the Facebook chat if you have it. Maybe you can share it with us. Okay. Anybody else have any stories before we get to the party, the culmination? Rod, Rod. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Who did I interrupt? I'm sorry. Abe, sorry.
Yeah, going back to a guy named Alves.
Yeah.
Of course, I told you about Chris. He
Yeah.
knows most of the people there. I mean, by name. And he says, "Oh, there's Elvis." I don't see any white dude here, So it was it's Elvis Mitchell, and so he knows about him. About he's a writer for the movies. So and then talking about going to the tram or something like that. That people talking to the studios while you're riding with them and all like that. And so wow, this is Sundance. This is really it. Those are the experience that I have surrounding that because you don't really have any transportation, but you bump into them, you elbow by elbow with the people in the industry. So those are the experience that I have out there. So,
And the good part is they were there to see you guys, to see your performance. That was a cool part.
Yeah, so regarding Elvis Mitchell.
Yeah, I was gonna offer that up. Go ahead, Rod. Yes, it's a great story. But
yeah, so I remember that there is this really loud guy in the very front row, just cracking up at every line, and he was so loud. I swear, I thought he was a plant. I thought you planted him, Winston.
I was right there and I heard it as well. I go, I thought it was a plant as well, honestly.
Yeah, he was like, you reminded me of a De Niro in that theater scene in Cape Fear where he's cracking up, being all obnoxious.
Right.
Yeah, so then I was like, all right, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. And so then halfway through, Heather Ray pulls me aside. She takes me out of the theater, and there he is, the guy with dreadlocks, and she introduces me to Rod. This is Elvis Mitchell, head critic of the New York Times. And I was like, oh, okay. So he basically said, God, I really enjoy your movie. It's hilarious. And he told me he had to leave for a meeting, but he's going to come back for the second show, and to expect a write-up in his Sundance review. So, and sure enough, the second screen, he came back to watch the ending, and he was just as loud the second time. So that was a really big ego boost. I mean, because this is a highly regarded, well-respected critic, and he was the loudest guy in the whole theater.
Yeah, it was literally guffawing. I remember that. And I remember talking to him after because, I know him from pitching other movies. And he asked me, hey, can I get a copy of this? How much he liked it. But just to show the significance of having an Elvis Mitchell review of your film in the New York Times, all those big profile films would kill to have that mention. And here's Rod with his little flip side DIY, black and white, shot in his childhood home, getting a mention, in the wrap-up, New York Times, which now causes a domino effect because now everyone, this machinery we talked about, this insular machinery now has to say flip side. What film is that? People who didn't or weren't paying attention to do it before.
Yeah, as I recall in his write-up, he only mentioned like 5 films.
Right.
And yeah, and they were all big Hollywood productions with stars.
Right. Yeah.
And it was pretty overwhelming. It was gratifying.
Yeah, and how gratifying was it for you though that he was a writer of color, one of the few critics of color of influence who got it, who got every message and every nuance.
Yeah, that really meant a lot.
Yeah. And, right, he mentioned us and Wet Hot American Summer, I believe, right?
Right. He did mention them. Yeah.
So, do you guys remember any of the questions you got while you were up there doing the Q&A for the post-screening? Do you remember some odd requests you got from people? Or?
Well, I do remember there was this one man, I believe he was from Utah, one older Filipino gentleman, and he was really upset because of all the cursing in the movie. And he's all, why do you have to have so much cursing in the movie? My kids don't talk like that. And I basically told him, I'm a part-time substitute teacher and I hang out with teenagers, and they might not talk that way around you, but definitely when they're around their friends, they probably cuss up a storm. And I felt bad because the whole audience started cheering, and then you kind of feel bad.
I thought there was a photo somewhere of you flipping him off. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I did feel bad though, because everybody was like kind of heckling him. It was like, boo, kids curse all the time.
All right. So now to the world premiere party, because you can't have a Filipino event without the DJ, without the dancing, and without the buffet spread. So Mark and Marisa, I go back to you guys. How did you organize that thing in freaking 2 weeks?
We have to really just give all the credit to the Utah Filipino-American community. As soon as they found out about the film, they didn't know us, we just emailed them and talked to them over the phone. But yet they were so welcoming to Mark and I into their home. The Narciso family had us over for dinner. We met with one of the main Filipino dance troupes in Utah, by the name of Lika, and their director was Mike Conlas. And Mike pretty much just said, whatever you guys want, we'll do. And the entire dance troupe met with us at the Narciso home in their living room. We had a meeting just, to break down everything. And we asked them to please, help us out by number one, spreading the word, but number two, also to help us with the party, because we wanted to throw down the biggest, baddest Filipino party that we could ever have. Who knows when we're ever gonna get to Sundance again, right?
The first one ever at Sundance, for that matter, right?
First and only. So they hooked us up with the local caterers, the food, provided all of that, the entertainment, the dancing, folk dancing to feature our cultural dancing. And it was just amazing, the support. And Mark can also chime in, but we have the Narciso family on standby here that they could also chime in and just give their thoughts on why they even helped us out.
We're going to look forward to hearing from them and the other attendees, I think, in our next. But yes, thank you, Risa. Mark?
Yeah, I just want to add to that. A lot of the special guests who are going to join us momentarily had a hand in the celebration at Sundance. But I wanted to mention even before the party, what kind of led up to the party, just to let everyone in Park City, Utah know that Pinoys and Pinays were in the house. We had our requisite rally on Main Street there in all our gear. And for me, it was particularly nice to see the logo that I designed for the film to be on all this gear. I'd never designed something that was on beanies and jackets and flyers and posters and all that. So it was, kind of a sense of pride being able to lift up my brother that way. But yeah, we all gathered, the whole street team on Main Street, and we marched all the way down, and we were passing out flyers and we were shouting and chanting, and yeah, it was kind of exhilarating to be able to use our voices and to represent strong for our Filipino-American community. And that led to the big after party that we had at that art gallery. And yeah, it was basically the synergy between the Fil-Am community from Southern Cali that was flying in, and not just Southern Cali. We have friends from the Bay, friends from the East Coast, all the different Filipino-American, former student activists who are now community leaders.
From Canada. Canada was represented.
Yeah, Canada too, a Filipino-Canadian community. Everyone converged there. And then the synergy with the Filipino-American community in Utah. And it was an opportunity to get to know you, and to really share in the moment. So I have queued up all of the photos that Rod had sent over. So if you would like, I could show those.
Yeah, let's do that. It would be a nice.
Real quick, shout out to my man DJ Abel.
Absolutely.
Cisnero.
Yes.
Factions
rock the party. It should be mentioned.
Rock the party. And
it should be mentioned, Joma. That's a great point. Thank you for that reminder that we're gonna have opportunity to talk about the party and questions from people, in our Q&A segment. But it should be mentioned that people from other movies, from films that were there, hit up the party because people heard the music from outside, right?
They didn't know how to throw parties until we showed up.
I think there are going to be people that can speak on this in the next panel, but there was a Filipino-American producer, Maricel Pagaluyan, who produced a film called MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park had a huge cast, Billy Worth and Be Real from Cypress Hill, and a good number of people, and a lot of their cast came, to the party. Right. So it was a special time. We want to thank you guys for your time here. We want to re-invite you back to return for the general Q&A. And that's a good reminder for our listeners or viewers out on the stream that if you have any questions that you'd like answered for anyone or in general, please type them in the chat and they'll forward those to us But we're going to go ahead with the clips, Mark. Take a quick break, and then when we return, we'll have the second part of our chat, which will be with the attendees and the other participants. So stay tuned.
Okay. I think Rod wanted to take a group photo before we go to the next thing. So on 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. And then do you want me to play the video clips or the photos from Sundance?
Maybe the photos would be a good.
Okay, let's go to the photos. Okay, and then yeah, why don't I do this? I'm gonna let all the folks in, our guest speakers, and then I'll start sharing the screen. Okay.
Yeah,
so.
we'll do that, and then we won't start the conversation right away. If people need to take a quick refreshment break, we can do that before we start the conversation again with part 2.
Okay, so
I'll enjoy the photos.
Here come all the folks. Okay, let's go to the photos. Okay, and then. Okay. All right. And then I'll start sharing the screen. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that, and then we won't start the conversation right away. If people need to take a quick refreshment break, we can do that before we start the conversation again with part 2.
Okay. So I let everyone in, all the speakers, special guests. Welcome everyone. But if you could mute, because I think we're hearing some feedback. And then I'm going to go ahead at this time share the screen to show some of the photos, and before we start the next panel.
Yeah, we'll do that, and then we won't start the conversation right away. If people need to take a quick refreshment break, we can do that before we start the conversation again with part 2.
Okay. So I let everyone in, all the speakers, special guests. Welcome everyone. But if you could mute, because I think we're hearing some feedback. And then I'm going to go ahead. All right.
Mr. Never ready, Mr. Rex Never ready.
Okay, so this acceptance letter, right? Rod, feel free to unmute and if you want to narrate these photos that you.
Oh yeah, so that's basically the acceptance letter I got. Changed all our lives. Yeah.
So this acceptance letter, right? Rod, feel free to unmute and if you want to narrate these photos that you.
Oh yeah, so that's basically the acceptance letter I got. Changed all our lives. Oh yeah, that's this street team when we took over Main Street, and pretty much scared all the white people in town. I don't think they ever saw that many brown people in one place yelling. Yeah. Yeah, these are all taken by, the black and whites are taken by Webb, our cinematographer. And there's my family, mom and dad, and Verwin.
What is that photo of me?
Those are all from opening night. Webb took all of those.
I've not seen these.
Yeah, that's the invite. There's my dad, Rudy Pulido.
Serving the lumpia.
I remember we pretty much had our premiere party in an art gallery, right?
Yeah.
Want to remember? Yeah, that's pretty cool. And
yeah, the art gallery was called Christopher's. That's the name of the artist. It was his working studio and his showcasing his work. And it was on Main Street of Park City at the Treasure Mountain Inn. I think it was at like the second floor. So it had a nice view of Main Street and the whole Park City.
Okay, that's all the photos that Rod shared. I think I also have Maurice's photos too, but while I cue that up, I'll give it
On
back
Main
to
Street of
I'll, gi-
Park Street,
I'll give it back
at the Treasure
to Winston to moderate the next panel. You there, Winston?
Hi guys, are we live again? Are we live?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think we left.
We've been live the entire time.
I think Winston went to get a snack.
I had to, yes, a refreshment break.
Respect.
Thank you guys for joining us. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Whether you are, depending on what part of the world you're joining us, welcome to part 2 of our 20th anniversary celebration of The Flip Side at Sundance, celebrating the seminal first ever Filipino-American feature film at Sundance, and still 2 decades later, the only Filipino-American feature. It almost hurts to say that. I think I chatted earlier with the cast about, I feel like you guys are like the Miami Dolphins. You know, every year that they announce the team loses and doesn't go undefeated, the Dolphins celebrate with a champagne toast. It's almost like that. And I know that's not your mentality. You want our stories to be seen by as many people and as many filmmakers to get representation. So, but we have a bevy of some really, really great guests here with us, many of whom I have not seen in too long, but it's great to see you guys. And if we could just go around for our new attendees, maybe starting with John Manuel Castro, and then just introduce yourself and what you did over at Sundance.
John Castro here. I went to a film school back at Long Beach. I was a big hunter back in Long Beach State, the only two Pinoys at the time. Hung out at the film set for a little bit, nothing officially. Yeah, then at the film at Sundance, I did a lot of video, some documenting of the whole experience. I don't know if you're gonna put up the rally video, the Flip Lives Matter video, but yeah, I just remember it just being hella cold over there, and yeah.
Well, you should, because you only had one glove, but we'll get to that story later.
We'll get to that story.
The glove story.
That's the only thing I remember. Really, it was traumatizing.
20 years after, John, it still haunts you.
Has my dad visited you, John, from beyond the grave?
Thank you, John.
Yeah. When I woke up, there was one glove on my bed, sitting there.
Great to see you, John. Thanks for being here. Great. And then Michael, I know that is that Michael?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you, man? Our officially our host family, right?
Yeah, I guess for all those that don't know me, my name is Michael Narciso. I just want to congratulate the Pulido family and all the cast and crew of The Flip Side. So back then, my family, well, right now I live in Toronto, but at 20 years ago, my family was living in Utah. And, we were able in a small way to just support the Pulido family by putting them in touch with the local Utah Filipino community. So I think they were able to help with the food and the native dancers at the after party. But yeah, I remember, with the Flip Side and Hubert's Wave Twisters, it was definitely a Filipino feel to the festival. And, the Utah Filipino community is obviously, it's not like California, it's very, very small when I was living there. So it was definitely a very big deal, I don't know if we would have had the same response if we were in Toronto, because it's just so big and people are kind of nonchalant. So, yeah, that's what I remember from the festival.
Great. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. Now,
yeah,
it's a wonderful segue to the TO, right? The True North, because look who we have here. We have the Filipino-Canadian variant to The Flip Side. It's the first ever Filipino-Canadian feature film, the author of which, the director, the writer, producer of Lolo's Child, Romeo Candido. Great to see you, Romeo.
You're so good at Zooms. Your voice is nice. You keep it all, the puck going nice. You're good at Zooms.
You're so Canadian. Thank you.
All right, we have to over compliment. I'm thankful to be here. I was watching the first half, and I was there on somebody else's dime. My friend had a movie in Rain Dance, and I had seen the day, and then he wanted me to help, moral support, and then but I was on my own hero's journey back then, and I hadn't made my film yet, and I needed cues from the universe to validate this vocation, this mission to make film, because I look at Rod as like a kuya by a couple of years, because and then but it was like he manifested it, and he made it happen, and he was making it happen on the biggest stage. Most Filipinos didn't really know Sundance. That was not our party at all back in the day. And so like when I found out he did it, I had equal admiration and equal jealousy, anger, crab mentality, and equal everything. But like he made it real, and he made it's so I was just happy to be there. I think I was with Mark. I helped put up flyers, like I was eager. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything yet, so I'll help you do flyers. And then and I was just quietly just quietly jealous of Rod. But then I met him, and he was just so nice, and then that makes it go away. I met Miss Tita Ester, and she greeted me like a member of the family, and I was just like a guy from Toronto with my Jewish friend at his film, but I needed brown people. Anyways, I'm talking too much, but Toronto represent. Happy to be here, Rod. We're all so proud of you.
Romeo.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No. So I found, looking through my Sundance stuff, I found this note that you wrote me. You gave me at the premiere. I'll read it. It says, Rod, RJ here. I am so happy that I was in the audience today. Can't wait to talk to you about your film. Congrats on the accomplishment. Very well done, RJ Candido. Yeah.
RJ is Romeo Jr. For those who don't know why there's a J.
Yeah, so I showed him to this beforehand, and he accused me of being a pack rat.
that represents, I believe, the first time in 20 years that's left the frame, right, Rod? So.
Yo, that's mint condition. Like you can put it back in the plastic bag and sell that for nothing. So congrats.
Okay, and then our next guest speaker was a podcast and a blog and a newspaper and social media before there were those things formally. As the editor founder of PinoyLife.com, he was responsible for covering and documenting, which is, I can't reiterate enough the importance of documenting our own history, right? As people here who have relied far too much on oral histories, your documentation, Mooney, is irreplaceable. So Mooney Lanton joins us. Thank you, Mooney.
Hi, Pinoy Life.
Good evening. Yeah, I don't know if I even own that domain name anymore, but hey, that was 20 years ago, man. Lots has changed, but thanks for having me. It was just cool to be there. 20 years ago, I just felt it was important to cover stuff. I had the ability myself, and a very brilliant colleague named Joel Lavar's technical genius. We were a little ahead of the curve in terms of creating websites, and I wanted to create a website that covered Filipino-American stuff, right? Because the local newspapers weren't doing it, like Asian Journal wasn't doing it. So, all right, from our point of view, there was a lot of stuff that we were doing, and for those that were following this thing, it's like, if you were going to school in Southern Cali, you heard about these films. You heard about this guy named Rod Pulido out of Long Beach. You heard about John Castro. You heard about Dyer. You were just hearing stuff, and then people were wondering, like, hey, so something's going to hit. And then you heard that they got into Sundance. Like the year before it was the debut. Then now you're like, wait, they got into Sundance. We got to go. So I talked to two of my buddies, and we're like, let's cover it. Let's just go. And that's it. I didn't do it for the likes. I didn't do it for the gram. I just did it because we had to do it. I spent my own money, not on anybody else's dime except for my own. And I made a fraction then what I make right now. So yeah, it was just something to do. And it was cool hanging out with everybody. And there will be stories that can be told, and there will be stories that will not be told. So Enough said.
We want to big up the fact that you guys were among the first to do it too, with a massive 5 megapixels.
Don't hate on the Olympus. The Olympus did a lot of good. You know, the Olympus and the Sony did a lot of good back then. So don't hate. And remember, this was before internet connectivity, with no cell phones, with smart cameras. It was we had digital cameras, which was cutting edge. And in order for us to get the pictures up, we had to get them, resize them, because your bandwidths weren't great. You were still on dial-up, most of y'all. And then so we had to shrink down the photos, make sure that they were optimized, code everything manually, and then upload them. And it was work. It was work, but it's work that needed to be done because nobody else was doing it.
I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you have them archived. Thank you. With present cast accepted, there was one star name at that party. One star Filipino-American name in Park City. And that was the official host of the after party. He was none other than the concert king, the DVD king, our friend, the premier Filipino-American comic, the guy who started it all, Rex Navarrete.
Hey guys.
The Husky boy.
Hey. Congratulations, Rod. It's 20 years. And on to everyone, cast and crew. It's so good to see everybody. 20 years later, we're all getting together in the midst of COVID. and we're sharing this amazing story of this amazing small film that just came out of nothing and became something. And so it was a real big treat for me to be part of all this. And yeah, I'm just sitting back and just kind of reminiscing, how young we were and how important this film was to get out there, and we all needed to come to little Park City, Utah, and launch this as a community. And it was nice to not be the stand-up comic for a whole weekend and just hang out and witness this great little film. And and it planted seeds for a lot of us who are creatives, and it's still paying dividends. So congratulations, everybody.
Thanks, Rex.
Earlier, I had alluded to how this brought about this unique nexus of trailblazers, from people in high tech, trailblazers in high tech to fashion to, politics to academia. And one of those to whom I refer in academia is Anna Alves, who joins us, who has the distinction of being a funder. So get to know her still, right? If not, knows that world very well. But Anna, I remember you were there because you saw the importance of being there and being in that moment, and also organizing some type of a summit, for lack of a better term, right? In one of the rooms. And it was, again, one of these beautiful things that happens that, maybe now we could do easier, virtually. Nothing replacing being there and letting that happen in the moment. So welcome.
Hello, good morning. I'm calling in from Manila, so it's actually Sunday morning here.
Hey,
at the time, I know. Hey, I just saw you in New York, a couple years ago. Sorry, I'm like chatting now. So anyway, as Winston said, back in 2001, I was a program associate in media arts and culture at the Ford Foundation in New York City. And my predecessor, Leslie Ito, who eventually became executive director of visual communications a few years later, succeeding her mentor, Linda Malabot, she had established an Asian American Arts Survey Initiative the year before I got there. So when I got there, and it was part of Ford's knowledge building efforts in the field around, focusing around diversity and underrepresented communities. So during my term, I leveraged off that to focus on Filipino-American arts and culture. So I assessed Fil-Am arts in the arenas of performing arts and cultural work. And it culminated in convenings and a field report in 2002 and into 2003. But when the flip side was featured at the Sundance Film Festival in 2001, there were 2 other films, as I think it was mentioned earlier, that had also featured Fil-Ams that debuted at the same time. Doug Pray's documentary Scratch about hip hop DJs that highlighted, among others, the Beat Junkies, the Invisible Scratch Pickles, and Mixmaster Mike. And then DJ Kubert's animated film based on his soundscape album Wave Twisters was also premiering at Sundance that year. So there was 3 films when there were previously none. Although the main one obviously was The Flip Side, and I'm so happy and honored to be here to be able to talk about that. Because Rod was going and The Flip Side was there, and then the other 2 happened to be there at the same time, everyone was going. Everyone was suddenly going. So it was a convergence that offered this opportunity to gather Fil-Am filmmakers and cultural workers working in film together. Because as we've said, before social media was ubiquitous, it was not so easy to gather or network or share knowledge and resources, especially at something like Sundance, where everybody is there, power players, people working the edges, folks that really want to connect and bring more stories out there. So I called the late great Dr. Dawn Mabalan, and I asked her to facilitate a conversation, and we were calling it like a Fil-Am Filmmakers Summit. And I asked the foundation if I could go as part of knowledge building to gather this once in a lifetime sort of event of being able to assess the field, to assess filmmakers, Filipino-American filmmakers in the field. So they said yes. And so I was funded to go out there, and I had a hotel room, really nice hotel room that I opened up to anybody that needed a place to crash. So if they could get there, we'd give them a room to crash. So people were like sleeping on the floor, on all the beds. I don't know how many people we like crowded up in there, but I was very happy. It was really fun. And then I think we bought pizzas. Do you guys remember? I know we bought food as well. And we were all sprawled out on the beds, on the chair, on the floor, on any furniture. And then we had a conversation about funding, about resources, about ways to consolidate resources, about the invisibility of Filipino-Americans in America and how we needed to get stories out there, of the different innovative things people were doing to get stories out there, and then trying to figure out ways to stay connected. And it was amazing. And we've had a lot of stories since. And thank you so much for letting me be here to be a part of this. That information is still there, by the way. The Ford Foundation has its archives through the Rockefeller Foundation in Sleepy Hollow, New York. So the memos that I wrote when I came back with recommendations and such are in those files. And the foundation still also has them, and it's part of their continuing sort of knowledge built for work going forward, hopefully. But again, thank you. It's so great to see everybody. Yeah. Oh my God.
Marami pong salamat. Thank you for joining us all the way from the other side of the Pacific.
Yeah, you know, what's funny is that I was the only one able to attend that meeting.
I know.
I felt so bad, but I had the flu.
Yeah, I remember that.
I basically slept like that whole night and then all into the next day. And so I felt so bad that I missed it. So I always wondered what went down at that meeting.
Mooney makes a good point in the chat. Anna, there is the very room to which you allude. It is Mooney's background. There's a shot of it.
Oh.
Yeah, so there you are.
Oh, I need a copy of that.
It's very Kellyanne Conway-esque with knees on the bed. Yeah.
We're charging $20 a photo.
There's John and Rex and Don and man.
Yeah, everybody. It was great.
Wearing the gloves.
It was great. Okay, our additional family host, along with his brother Michael and family, is Gerald Narciso. Gerald, thank you for joining us here tonight, or today, or this morning, what part of the world you are. Where are you calling from today, Gerald?
I'm calling from Vancouver.
Well,
so yeah, the Canadian convention.
The Narciso's in Canada, huh? There's a local.
A lot of Canadians on here, but just representing my parents. You know, I gave them the email earlier this week, and you know, they said hello, and they were very stoked, and we all kind of started to kind of relive like this moment. So it was very exciting to remember something that happened 20 years ago that was such a huge influence in the Utah community and everything. First of all, I want to say what's up to Mark and Marissa, Rod. It was good getting to know you guys this whole time, and you know, getting to host you guys and getting to, you know, get a little sense of Filipino pride. I mean, as my brother alluded to, you know, we didn't grow up with a lot of Filipino people. I mean, yeah, we had the association, but all my friends were white or black. And you know, watching that film and knowing that Sundance, which is kind of like the Super Bowl in Utah for entertainment and everything, we're like, wow, one of us got in. And you know, it really gave us like a sense of pride. And you know, watching it 20 years later, rewatching it after we got the email, it was interesting because it was so relatable 20 years later, because it was kind of a mirror of our own family. Like my brother was going to school at UCSD in San Diego, and you know, he was a lot like Darius, and I was 100% Davis. You know what I mean? Talk like him and everything. I'm sure you remember. And my sister, you know,
What
she
up,
had
dude?
kind of qualities herself. So no, it's really like these stories, you know, haven't really been told and haven't really been told too much since. So, you know, this was a timeless movie, and hopefully Rod can dust off the cameras and, you know, show up, you know, make a comeback and get into Sundance and Tribeca and all that. But just wanted to say hello and thanks for inviting us and letting us be a part of this.
Great. Gerald, thank you again for that. And, you know, simply without you guys, without the Narcisos, you know, this is less of an experience. So thank you guys. And I'm not just talking about,
quick shout out to Rex Navarrete, who's kind of like the Joe Coy before the Joe Coy. So good to see him on this.
Yeah, he's the OG.
What's up, Vancouver?
You said it. You know. If you know, you know. Okay.
Oh, gee, the original Gago. All right.
Speaking of knowing, very few people have as intimate a knowledge of Asian American and Filipino-American cinema as our next guest. He is a longtime Sundance attendee. He's gone, I think, 21 years now, David?
This would have been 23, so 22 was last year. Yeah.
Crazy. So
yeah.
And you know, you were on top of a lot of things. You're the co-founder of the Asian Filmmaker Reception that continues to this day. You know, in terms of getting representation, getting us seen and noted. Welcome, and you are the CEO, principal of your own boutique PR firm. So you're still very much in the industry. Welcome, David Magdale.
Hey, it's so good to be here. 20 years. I can't believe it's gone by so fast, so quickly, you know, and to see everybody and, you know, just remember that time. I think the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind was having Linda, having you, having everybody, and how we had turned Sundance to brown, because I had first gone in 99 and we're like, ooh, me and Tom Chin and Irene Cho were the only kind of like little dots here and there. We would like, I think we picked out Effie Brown and a couple other people that had been there, but it was like even few and far between. I think also that week too, Winston, we were there, it was you and me and Effie and Yvonne Welbin sitting in a cafe, just laughing and having a good time. And all the folks around us were looking like, who are these people? Why are they so loud?
We're too loud and too of color.
Too loud and too much of color. But looking back with the flip side, you know, for us as Filipino-Americans, the best thing that came out of that was not only, of course, it really underscored representation really matters, but everybody from California showed, everybody who wanted to be there was there. But the people that blew me away were the Filipinos of Utah.
Right.
They got in their car, they drove, they made everybody feel at home. The food, the dancing, a lot of the kids were like, you know, mestizos that were like, they weren't, but they were dancing their hearts out. I mean, and when you were in that party was just like, if you looked around that room and experienced it, that's what I think Sundance always could have been, should have been, can be, and, you know, could be all that. But I think, but it took us, it took you, Rod, it took a Filipino movie to pull that together, you know, and I think that's where, you know, the props go. Your family, the Pulido family, it's just, you were really, that was important for all of us to see that we could get behind a film and the families can get behind a filmmaker, because that's new for us, right? It's new for us as Filipinos or even as Asian Americans that we had, you know, let our own people become filmmakers. And then, you know, people who are gone that were there, you know, like my cousin Dawn, she was there, and then also Linda Mabalit was there. We were all, like someone said, we were all sleeping on different couches and different places. I think Tom Chen was my business partner at that time, so we had to share a bed, and then Linda was sleeping in the foyer, and I don't know, it was really good, but we did it because we loved it and we knew that we had to be there. And I think that's what I like, listening to all these stories and everybody that I'm seeing on this Zoom, because we haven't seen each other in a while. And you look back to as to where we are now, right? So there's just like surgence of Asian American, but we need to have, and there's also the surgence of Filipino-American films and filmmakers. And that's what's really promising and exciting, because now people are not waiting for the approval for the white person to tell us, oh yeah, you can do it. Folks are just doing it on their own. Women, as well as, you know, the men are doing it too. And so I just encourage everybody who's watching, who, you know, might be new to this, write your stories, man. We need your stories, and everybody's looking for the stories, and the time is now, and the time is ours. You know, nobody else is there. So I'm just proud to be here. I'm proud that we were all part of that. I mean, we have stories. I mean, Winston and I, and Eseel, she's here. We all had stories of being like, we'd be the only like brown, you know, brown people that would be like walking down Main Street. And it was okay. It was really okay, because we knew who we were. And we would be in the supermarkets at 2 o'clock in the morning buying food so we could stock up for the next day. But you look at those experiences and what shaped everything. And congratulations to you, Rod, and to everybody that was part of, you know, the flip side. And, you know, rest in peace to all the people that have left. Chris Castillo, I mean, that was his jam, and you were there with him, and he was so excited. I mean, Abe, that's, you know, it's like for him to be at Sundance, that was his dream, and he was able to be part of that and be part of this. So that was really, really important. And for someone like Linda, who's a trailblazer, for all of us who worked in, you know, Asian media, those are those times we just really wanted to make sure that our people were at the table and that we were bringing our best. So anyway, it's really great to be here. Congratulations to all of you.
Dave, I want to ask a couple of follow-up questions later on about the party. Excuse me, but I have questions about how much you remember, because if I recall, you were too busy scoping out Billy Worth, who attended the party as well. Also, David Magdiel branch tree, a branch from the David Magdiel PR tree is our next guest. Also, a partner in her own boutique PR firm, a longtime attendee of Sundance as well, and a veteran of the Asian and film festival circuit. Eseel Borlasa is joining us. Hello, Eseel. Thank you for being here.
I'm also from the 562, and I'm from Cal State Long Beach, PAC, Kapsai Epsilon. So thank you for being, or for inviting me and sharing the Zoom with me, Winston. But thank you to Rod and the Pulido family for making this film, because to Winston's point, like that moment really was like a first splash that of which we're experiencing in the ripples of now. Winston and I were chatting earlier in the week, like filmmaking, independent filmmaking with your authentic personal lens back then was a huge risk. Like the immediate product of success was that you got it done, and that was it. And for doing that artistry and commitment to vision, like major props for that. And it paved the path of which I am a part of, and hopefully continuing under shepherding from Winston and David, and now currently with visual communications. And I'm glad it's from the 562, represent.
Right on. Thank you, Seal. And then last but not least, is someone who is a continuance, a direct continuance of actually being at Sundance in 2001 and to, you know, crafting his own career in the industry professionally and also as a filmmaker. He has a film that just premiered at the Hawaii International Film Fest, where it nagged the Audience Award, so it's continuing a tradition of Filipino features there. Welcome, AJ Calomay.
Hello, everybody. Congrats, Rod. Congrats, everybody, on 20 years. It's been amazing. I mean, hearing all these stories, I should say that I almost took that Sundance experience for granted. You know, I mean, I didn't, being now in film, I've pretty much worked in post-production and television for 20 years ever since. And it's that meeting, Anna, that you set up, and hearing everything there. I mean, I was a fly on the wall. I mean, I didn't really participate a lot, but it was, all those things stuck with me. You know, I know John says something like, you know, we should, John just left, but, you know, he said something like, you know, we should all PA for each other, help each other out. And that kind of got me thinking to, like, you know, let me focus on craft, you know, because I wanted to help out a lot of different filmmakers, you know, different genres. You know, I was always the kind of guy to like hang out with different groups of Filipinos, you know, so I was like, I want to work with different styles, you know, so I found my craft in editing. And through editing and collaboration, you know, I feel like those seeds were planted for me in that meeting, that whole experience. I mean, half the time I was there, I wanted to go snowboarding, with Joel. And now looking back, I'm like, and now, having worked on, Olympia with a Vengeance and how long that took. Now we're getting the film, trying to work the film fest route. I mean, it's hard. I realized how amazing that was to have had Flipside be there, and so, yeah, it absolutely planted the seeds. And I'm trying to do that now as well in my career, plant those seeds for younger filmmakers to continue to tell their stories. Even just being exposed, seeing us all gather goes a long way. And that's because that's what I got at that meeting at that time there in Sundance.
Yeah. Thank you, AJ. Thank you. Very poignant words. I want to point out something here that I'm sure we're well aware, but it's worth repeating. At that period in time, of 1999 and between 1999 and 2002, maybe I'm off by a couple of years, I believe there were no less than 6 Filipino-American or Filipino-Canadian feature-length indie films that saw their own distribution. And clearly we thought, we've arrived. This is our time. It's time for our stories. The aforementioned The Debut, The Flip Side, Lolo's Child, Much Adobo About Nothing, American Adobo, and Disoriented. In the subsequent 20 years after that period, I think you could count on one hand, if at that, the number of Filipino-American features that have been released. So I'll throw this out to anybody out there. What happened? And this isn't to bring it down, but
I think there's no roadmap, post first film. I mean, I had no idea like what we were doing, and like when you're making a movie, normally you're writing your next one, right? If you did it like the traditional Hollywood way, when you're fully funded, when you're a director or a writer, you're not out there marketing your own film. There's other people to do it for you. But since we had to do it ourselves when we did The Debut, like we had no time to write another film or write a follow-up, and like other people could do. So we didn't have that luxury. At least I didn't have that luxury. And then when the distribution was over, it was like, oh, what do I do? What's next? And like, I never thought about getting an agent. It's like I didn't have those. I didn't think about that, like getting agents or representation. It was kind of bizarre. I was like, oh, let me just go to school again and become a chef. that was my next plan for a while. So yeah, I think it's there was like no roadmap, at least for me. Rod, how about you?
Rod, you got representation of this, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking for myself, at Sundance, I was able to get an agent. I signed with APAA, the Agency for Performing Arts. And I thought I did everything right. I went to Sundance armed with a new script. I thought it was called a Hip Hop Don't Stop. It was about the rise of the 1980s breakdancing scene, b-boy scene. And my agent shopped it around and all over town, and producers loved it. I met up with them. They complimented me on my dialogue and attention to period detail. And only thing is that they would always say stuff like, "Oh, maybe you could change the lead characters to, this." They basically didn't want my lead characters to be Filipino. They would drop hints like, maybe you could make it like Dead Poet Society, where you have the student body rebelling against the faculty, with this new form called breakdancing, and they basically, reading between the lines, they wanted me to change the characters to be white.
Yep.
And I went through so many meetings like that, and to be honest, it was soul crushing, because I know that a lot of Sundance directors went on to big careers, like Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, Tarantino, and I wondered, what's going on here? Is it me? But the more meetings I took, the more I had to face it that Hollywood just wasn't ready for me or ready for Filipinos. And it was a tough reality to accept, because in my heart, I know if I were white or if I were African American, I would have had a career. I would have had a follow-up film. But trying to make an indie film just on your own resources, I know John can attest to this, and Gene Kahayan. It took me 5 years to make The Flip Side, saving all my money, and it is a grueling exercise. It's all encompassing. It takes over your life. And not a lot of people are willing to do that. Not a lot of people have the drive to do that. And I think a lot of our generation, after we made our first film, we got burnt out, and I knew that there was no way financially that I could be able to do again what I did with The Flip Side. I just got married. I needed to get a full-time job, and life just took over, So the way I look at it is that we all took our shot. I took my shot and I did everything that I was supposed to. I wrote a badass follow-up script, but nobody in town wanted to make it. They wanted to bastardize it. They wanted to make all my characters white. So I wasn't having that. So, just for my own emotional stability, I had to leave. I had to leave Hollywood. I couldn't take it, And now that years later, I have a son, Alex, and I know that it's even more impossible to try to make an indie film. So I never gave up on wanting to tell Filipino stories. So I figured, if I can't be a filmmaker, maybe I could be an author. And so basically the last few years, I learned how to write prose, and I was able to get a literary agent, and I got a couple of manuscripts that are in submission. So we'll see what happens with that, and now that I see everything's kind of opening up more, as far as diversity. You still don't see a lot of Filipinos, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But I've never given up on my dream of telling Filipino stories, and I never will. And if I can't be a filmmaker, I'm going to be an author. I'll do it that way. And maybe if somebody wants to adapt my novels to screenplays, then I'll do that. So. I think our community can be a little harsh on Fil-Am creators, Fil-Am filmmakers. When people say what happened, I don't really put it on us. I mean, I know that I did everything I could to break into Hollywood, and Hollywood just wasn't having it. So, and whoever else wants to add to that, I know AJ has a lot of experience in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I almost took the safe route in a way, right? I chose a profession, editing, right, where I could go into an office, work Monday through Friday, get that union job. It was almost like, hearing my parents, telling me to be a doctor, all that stuff. It's like, okay, well, cool. I want to go into film, but maybe this is sort of close to that, So I sort of wanted to work in the belly of the beast, see what the Hollywood was like, and I do, and it's been 20 years, and it's still hard to get in, even though I have connections. I could contact producers. It's still hard. That feeling is still there, so my role has been let me just keep doing what I'm doing and try to make this film on the side. That's why it took us 7 years to make Movie with a Vengeance and all the other projects we've done, because we're trying to make this work. It's hard to make it sustainable where we can do this full time. And what you said, Rod, yeah, it's like, it's not all on you. Like it has to be we'll have to sort of play a part in this, you know, people have to support, you know, people have to, you know, get the word out. You did everything we could. And yeah, like even in our own community, sometimes, you know, like we've had our movie trailer out for a while, but people are like, oh man, is this movie legit? I can't believe this is real. No way, you know, it's an action comedy. It's crazy, you know, but it's sometimes hard for people to fathom that there can actually be like a legitimate movie with us in it, you know, and not feeling like you're trying to, you know, hate on it or think it's like, oh, that's like, what is this weird stuff? You know, like just check it out, you know, spread the word, put it out there. So yeah, I mean, I've sort of like, you know, I'm not a writer director. I've been like, let me just stay in it and sustain and see how long I can, you know, be here in film. And then when writers and directors are ready, I'm like, cool, I got resources. We got post-production resources. We got visual effects. You know, I know people we can talk to, you know, so that's sort of the path I've taken is like, let me help. Let me help. What can you do? I have experience, you know, so it's hard, but yeah, I understand, Rod. It's, you know, you went for it as a writer director, and it was tough, you know, but you're still telling stories, you know, and you never know, you know, maybe there's something, you know, we can try later on, you know, a short spec or something like that, you know, but yeah, I understand after going through all that, it is hard to like keep it going.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no props for you, man. Props to the whole crew of Olympia with a vengeance. You know, I love what you guys are doing. I think Romeo wants to.
Yeah, Romeo, he got something to say as well.
Yeah, like I've had so many reinventions as an artist in the last 20 years. Like I started in film, I moved to advertising and in the Philippines, and I moved to factual entertainment in Canada, and then I did another film, then I did docs, then I became a producer. Now I'm doing a Netflix show. So it's like it's a bayanihan thing, and I like, you know,
you're too humble to mention it, but Romeo is not just part of a Netflix show. It's a top-rated Netflix show out of Canada, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know. Well, who knows?
Inconvenience. So
but I just broke in. Like I tell the white people that I'm the most established emerging writer in this goddamn country. Sorry, Tita. You know, like it's a bayanihan thing. It's like, you know, Rod and Gene and John, it's and Rex, you know, Rex, just so you know, behind the scenes when I'm talking to the other Filipino comics, I'm like, y'all would be nothing without Rex. Joe Coy wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rex. I wouldn't have gone to the Philippines and done my Balikbayan journey if I didn't see Rex talk about telling a bunch of, you know, Philippine diaspora, you know, cocky, you know, call Filipinos fob people. If Rex didn't say go to your homeland and get in touch, so you know, it's bayanihan. You know what I mean? So where Rod, you took our bamboo house another couple of steps, and you've still charted the way. The way you did it was the way you were supposed to do it. You make a movie, it's black and white, Spike Lee, Woody Allen, filmy. You know, Rada Blanik, just the same thing. She did the exact same thing as a black woman, 40-year-old version, same voice, same, you know, and it made it now. You know what I mean? So like I'm thankful to be part of the Bayanihan. Like I might as well have been first year out of university when I went to Sundance, and I met everybody there. Seminole, and like I'm a mentor now. I'm telling kids how to tell their stories and authentic voice and all that, blah blah blah. But you know, I'm a ripple of that moment. I'm a ripple of seeing you, Rod. Like, you know, and to be a direct it's a privilege, and it's also a curse, and you also carry so much burden. You know, Tita Ester, I give you respect for birthing a child and siblings and a family who would support it, because I know what it's like to be the, you know, the cinema golden child of the family, and then everybody has to like cook lumpia and like so the crew can eat, you know, like I know this life. And so Rod, you know, like, you know, we're part of like a very small tribe that Diane is now kind of in the forefront with Yellow Rose, and she's pushing the bamboo thing forward. You know what I mean? So, and it started with the debut, and then it started with, you know, Lino Broca and Ishmael Bernal, and so I'll see, like, you know, go even further. Kidlat Tahimik, who was the first one who went to Cannes. So, you know, meeting you, Rod, and meeting the family and seeing it in a theater, that's still part of my engine. That's still part of my story engine. Tell our stories. And so I feel like it's nice in our 20 years that we're having this hotel kind of meeting, this time with you, Rod, and family. And I'm just, you know, like, we're still here, man. You know what I mean? Like, I pray for your novel, Rod. I pray that the world gets to see you take another stab at it. And so if I have to like put up flyers for you again, I will. I'll ride for, you know, the Pulido family. Like, it means that much to me, and for every Filipino filmmaker always. But for you, Rod, man, I got you. And Mark
Here,
Pulido, president of the world.
Mad love to you, man.
The world.
I need to see some moist eyes in that. Come on.
That's beautiful.
Wonderful words, Romeo. Wow, amazing.
Love you, brother.
No, that's fantastic. I know AJ and I had spoken about this earlier in the week about how, you know, as trailblazers, as people who've been following this for a long time, and quite honestly, just as fans of film, we deserve to have stories that are crafted. And if the art is to truly grow amongst Filipino-Americans, amongst Filipino-Canadians, amongst the Filipino diaspora, it can't just be reinvented every single time with a new generation. Otherwise, we're the proverbial boat with one oar, right? Of course, we're welcoming of new generation of filmmakers, but don't forget the ones that have toiled and are looking to still be in, like you said, Romeo, still in the game with so many stories yet to tell. So history often isn't kind to trailblazers unless, you know, we make it a notion. So part of doing the 20th anniversary of this is to acknowledge, honestly, our common shared history, right? How much of our history has been taken from us because it wasn't documented, it was not acknowledged. And, you know, people wrongly think that our film history only exists with, you know, as far as their memory will take them, right? Not the case. And for those people who say that, I have a name for you, Doroteo Inez. Mooney and I talked about this earlier. Doroteo Inez, if you guys remember, was as a film student at the University of Southern California, made his thesis film in 1924. So that's how far back our history as filmmakers in this country goes, right? So anyway, Mark, I know you have a number of images left. I know our discussion got really heavy there for a second, so let's bring it back to some pleasant memories. But that was a beautiful, beautiful thoughts. Thank you for speaking from the heart, right? Mark, if you got some photos that you could.
Yeah, I got some from Marisa from the film festival. So I'm going to share the screen.
Thank you. Oh.
So that's a young AJ and
raucous hoodie.
And feel free to narrate anyone what we're looking at here.
Of course, DJ Kubert, alumni of the University of Michigan. Kidding.
That's me and Lisa Narciso, Gerald and Michael's sister. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to join us tonight. Maybe she'll still join in later, but yeah, I just give props to this young sister. She was there not only helping us out promoting the film, but to perform. She was part of Lika, the dance troupe, and she performed her heart out at our Sundance Film Festival premiere party, after party. And there she is with Rod at the screening of The Flip Side at the Yarrow Hotel. And photo of the Narciso family, Mr. and Mrs. Narciso, Nori and Ida. This is 2 weeks before Sundance when Mark and I did our reconnaissance mission. And they invited us into their home in Salt Lake City, and it was just amazing. They had us over for dinner, you know, sat down with us.
Nice to see scribbles included too in the
scribbles, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about this picture that this really speaks to our community. That what Romeo said about the Bayanihan spirit. We had just met this family, in the middle of the holidays, dead of winter, and they opened up their home to us. And we were talking about something that they couldn't even see. We were talking about our brother. He wasn't with us. We were talking about a film that no one ever seen. But they opened up their homes, their hearts, and they lifted all of us up. Just on the idea of helping other Filipinos out. Yeah, just from the Pulido family to the Narciso family, much love and thanks.
Yeah, I know my parents are on this right now, so they're probably really excited to see
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So much love for your family.
There they are.
They're your parents. There they are. This was at the party, the after party. Sorry about the photography, it's blurry, but this was back before digital cameras. It was my 35mm camera that, you had to like go and develop and hope and pray the photos come out all right. Well, this is one that got blurry, but in the center is Christopher, the artist whose gallery we had rented that one night for the party. And you could see his artwork on the walls. It was amazing. I particularly as a musician, I loved his work because it featured a lot of musicians, the saxophone, the horn players, and Dad's in there too.
Oh. Gangster.
Romeo said it, Bogi.
Oh.
Rex was our host for the after party, and that was him introducing and just, opening up the party. And it was awesome to be there. Those of you who were there can chime in too.
I want to remind our viewers, our listeners on Facebook, if you have any questions, please send them to the chat, and our monitors will forward them to us. If you have a question that's general or specific, if it's to anyone specific, please mention the name. All right, because we have time check. We have a little over 20 minutes left to go.
And Winston, I have 3 more video clips if you want.
Okay, why don't we, maybe we can play another clip then, Mark.
You got it. Here we go. Let's see here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, 90 inches, dude. According to my calculations, this shit right here is 9 feet exactly. That shit's tight.
Nigga, look. 9 feet ain't regulation. And even if you do jam, the rim's a whole foot short, so it ain't gonna mean shit.
Nah, not even, man. You don't understand my next level mental state, dude. Check it. Here's what I gotta educate your ass on some scientific principles, you know what I'm saying? See, I got it all figured out, all right? Since the rim is on a driveway, that means I gotta run up to an incline, you know what I'm saying? Now, being that I gotta be running uphill, dude, I got gravity.
That's echoing, Glow.
Working against me, you know what I'm saying? See, before, when it was at 10 feet, damn, that's like I'm trying to dunk on an 11-foot rim, you know what I'm saying? But now that's at 9 feet, it's like I'm jamming on a 10-foot regulation rim, you know what I'm saying? That's keeping it real for your ass.
Nigga, what the fuck you talking about?
Dude, just watch.
The reverse. Oh yeah. The 360 jab. Oh, almost from the free throw line.
That's interesting. By the way, I think that's one of the scenes that led Elvis Mitchell to guffaw, literally.
That's right. He was dying during that.
AJ makes a great point. It says that scene would kill right now on TikTok. So I have a loaded question for all the filmmakers, actually for everybody. Can the flip side be made 20 years later? And how would it be different?
Not by me. Yeah, I think indie film is a young man's game, you know. So preferably someone who's single, doesn't have a family. You know, sure, it can be made today. You know, as long as somebody out there has enough drive, it won't be denied. Our community's full of talented filmmakers. But who knows what their vision? Who knows what it would look like today? It'd be a completely different kind of film, different sensibility, different issues.
Right.
But Winston, I think the thing that you have to think about the era, right? What was going on, because what the flip side was also a product of the time. Flip side came out to 2000, 2001, but the buildup was mid to late 90s, right? So if you have to really think about where was, and it's Filipino-American Southern California perspective. It's not necessarily another city. It's a bit of a reflection. A story from the first screening. There was a lady that asked a question, or asked a question. Filipino later was like surprised that the depiction of Joma, I have to call you Joma now, of Joma's character. It was surprised. Like I don't think Filipinos talk like that. You know, I've never heard. And the thing was, if you were in that scene, you know, your teens to early 20s in Southern Cali, they sure did. You know, they sure did. And so it was a bit surprising, where like people were surprised that that actually was happening. So think of it that way. There was this really push along a lot of fronts. Rex was pushing comedy, like nobody was doing Fil-Am comedy, you know, and Rex was pushing it. Here comes Rod. Here comes some more musicians. They're scratching. You got Classified Records pushing and pushing. They're so like something. We were waiting for something to break through. So there was this drive by a lot of people, a lot of forces to say we're pounding on the door. You better hear us. Now, it's changed. It's easier now. We've been defined by certain events. Your Manny Pacquiao's, your Bruno Mars's, and you know, the masses of staffs at your Kaiser Permanentes. So we're not as mysterious anymore, and the sense of identity of the Fil-Ams is different. They weren't, maybe not as starved, but it's just different. So if there was to be a flip side to come out today, I don't know if it would be as strong on the identity side of it. You know, I don't know, because there was symbolism about it being black and white. For those that remember the film, like there was a brilliant opening shot where a white glass of milk then poured in with Hershey syrup and then stirred in. There was a lot of symbolism there for those that studied it, and I think that was a product of the time, and that a lot of us, like the students in the 90s, were really trying to push. We are Filipino-American. You need to see us. You need to hear us. And I don't know if that's happening now. And if it is, it's different, because it's social. It's a quick, you know, thing. You got to get viral. Versus, no, I'm going to put out a piece of product that is edited and manicured and produced and refined, and I'm going to put it out there. So it would just be very different, you know. And it's a product of its time and the things that led up to it.
To that point, Mooney, follow-up question, and anyone can answer, please. Is the long form, why even bother with a long form now if, you know, there are no bigger stars within the Filipino-American or Filipino community, you know, than Patrick Star or, what's Homeboy's name from Hawaii?
Bretman
Rock,
yeah.
Right, who are doing short form videos that are getting tens of millions of viewers.
I love his content.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. It's entertaining, but is the long form dead?
Hey, Winston, this is Mark.
Yes, Mark.
Yeah, I'll answer that a little bit, but I want to go back to the last question that you had asked. and the question was, can Flipside be made today? I'd rather say the question is, what is this generation going to do, the current generation coming up right now, going to do on their watch? Because I think Mooney spoke right to it. I think other than my mom and Abe, we're all Gen Xers. Gen Xers, we delivered, okay, on our watch, right? If we're 1.5 or second generation Fil-Ams, Filipino Canadians, right? We did right by the investment by our parents' generation, all that sacrifice, you know, pushed out by war, right? By lack of economic opportunity to come here to North America, right? And so we did right by it in all of our endeavors. When you mentioned Classified, mentioned Rex as trailblazer, whether it was in getting our university educations, right? Some of the best universities across the nation, right? Breaking into the healthcare industry, law, politics, you name it. Everything that we did, everything we touched, we lived out this Filipino-American Renaissance in the 90s, which, because there wasn't any certainty about what the 21st century was going to be like. You know, we grew up Prince fans, you know, party like it's 1999. You know, we lived through Y2K, right? We didn't know what tomorrow promised. So we seized the moment. We seized the day. Someone mentioned dead poets, right? Yeah. Carpe diem. That's what we did. So the question that you're asking, Winston, is, you know, can Flipside be made today? I want to know what this generation's story is, because we're raising that generation, right? I want to know what Gen Z, I want to know what the millennials are going to do.
We're the old
and they're already doing it. They're already doing it, right?
We're already old. We're already the old people going, what?
Yeah.
What's he doing? Is that dancing? How's that dancing? Like I'm there.
And I'll just wrap up with this. I'll just say this. I'm not saying this out of like bitterness. I'm hungering because I'm ready to love and support it. You know, whatever our youngest sisters and brothers want to do, they got the mic, they got all the technology, they got all the platforms, whether it's short form or long form, like your follow-up question, Winston. I don't care. The audience is listening and the community is waiting.
I love the emphasis on the that was almost a neck turning hungry there, Mark. That was a
hangry.
You know me.
What are we eating after this?
Gotta eat.
Where are we eating? Let's go to your spot, Dave. David. Yeah.
I've got a few questions from our friends over on Facebook, so let's start with those. What's next for the cast and crew?
Hey. I'll let the cast answer that.
Come on, Abe. What's next, Abe?
Are you talking about the current one that I have, or
You've got a lot of things going.
Yeah.
I have 3 movies out in the streaming media right now, including Flipside. And of course, I have that Lumpia thing that we're working on Lumpia Vengeance. Still looking for some film festival. It's changes right now. I'm not sure if anybody writing about my character right now because I'm older. But still, I salute the younger generation of what they're doing, like Diana Paragas and all the people is doing it. I think now I don't have to change my name. You know, I can be casted as Filipino now. Before,
right.
I was thinking about changing my name, but now it's okay to be Pagtama, to be casted as Filipino now. But it took us almost 20 years to do this. So, you know, the future for us is bright. for us, there's just too many stories that we can do it right now. And it's easier to make a movie now, I think. It's easier to do these things because anybody can claim right now that they have distribution. You can self-distribute things right now. So it's up to us to, really support the community, the Filipino community, to do this, because to be honest with you, we just need writers and people that really want to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Abe. Cast and crew, anybody else? What do you do next?
Mark's mom's gonna.
Yes, Ms. Pulido.
I'm 80 years old. I just turned 80 years old about 4 years ago. So anyway, my last movie role was about 3 years ago. It was an independent movie shot in Hollywood. The main character, the actress, was Miss Chicago, a Pinay. Can you believe that? It's nice. But anyway, in that picture, it was called Pretty Rosebud. And anyway, I played the role of a grandmother. And I had to audition for it. And I got the role, and we were shooting. And when you're just waiting for your scene, you just wait. And so we were several actors in this one room, and I didn't realize they had cats in that room. And anyway, I started coughing because I am asthmatic. So and then they called me in. Okay, you're part of this scene, and it was in a party in the living room, and I was seated there with some other actors. Lo and behold, it was my turn. I couldn't hear anything. I was deaf. I became deaf because of all that coughing and my asthma. So, but I did okay. The leading actress kind of realized what was my problem. I couldn't hear my cue. So we had to do it again. I said, this is what I'm going to do. When it's your turn, I'm going to go like this. So it turned out. It was a good movie. In fact, we won first prize in some film festival in the boonies.
It was Idlewild Film Fest.
And you know what? The actors, we had a little get together, and they asked, which is your favorite actress? and her line or his line. So they said, Ester. So that was my reward for that from the movie. I thought I'd die when I couldn't hear my what's going on, all that conversation. Anyway, it was nice. I had a chance, at least 2 movies made in Hollywood. So I can tell my grandchildren I was a Hollywood actress.
Hey, Winston, maybe it's not too late to get a campaign going to have Mrs. Pulido as to play the Lola character in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, there it is. How about that? Yeah. You heard it, Rex. What a great.
Right?
Yeah,
there we go.
Absolutely.
Hear that, Mom? That makes Ned officially Filipino, so he needs a
There it
Filipino
is.
grandma. So there you go.
How many of those actresses have won best actress award?
The boonies.
Oh, mom, go. Go, mom.
We have a couple more questions from Facebook here. This one's from our friend Agnes Constante with Inquirer.net. She has a couple of questions for Rod. Actually, the question for Rod. For folks who have yet to see the film, but end up doing so perhaps because of the anniversary, what do you hope they take away from the movie?
Well, hopefully they can relate to it. I think it's still, even though it's of its time, I think it's still timeless. I think the main story, the main theme of the movie remains the same. You know, just Pinoy's got to know where they come from, know our history. You know, stop emulating other cultures so much, and you know, prop up our own. Yeah, I hopefully they'll take that away from it, and also just the story of making the film. You know, my story is just, and everyone involved in the movie is just it came to fruition because we wouldn't be denied. And I think that's the most important lesson for filmmakers is don't be denied. No matter how many people tell you you can't do it, no matter how many people laugh at you, you know, I mean, I know the actors can speak to this. I know John, I know AJ, all the filmmakers at that time could speak to this. But we also got a lot of love from the community, but we also got a lot of hate. A lot of people laughing at us, you know, thinking that we're dreamers and bums, you know, and that we're never going to amount to anything. Don't listen to that. You know, if you use it to fuel your drive. So.
Yep. And 20 years later, we're celebrating. So how about that one, haters? This next one is for, this one is, I'm gonna leave this one for David and Eseel. What do you think needs to be done to get more Filipino-American films into Sundance/Hollywood? What advice would you offer to Fil-Ams who are trying to do this? Let's add Phil Cans in that too, so our buddy Romeo still feels seen.
I think we need to get more stories out there. You know, the thing that I saw this year with visual communications in the LA Asian Film Festival. Eseel, what was the name of the young lady that wrote her musical, Filipino woman?
Valerie Ortega. She directed The Girl Who Left Home.
Oh my goodness. Have you guys seen The Girl Who Left Home? If you didn't, you should. This girl is going to be the next, whatever she's going to be the next. She's going to be like I think she's a great storyteller, but she did it on her own. She wrote a musical and it plays really well. That's just my opinion, but it's just one of the best things that I'd seen this year, and it's a Filipina that's doing it on her own. I look at Diane Paragas too, because she just said it took her a long time to get where she was going to go, you know. And the thing is, we're in this time period, like you said, Mooney. It's like, look at the time where we were before, look at where we are now, and it's a different generation. But I think whoever asked that question, we need these stories. We need these stories written. We need to stay true that we don't whitewash them because somebody else said so. But also too, the technology has changed. So like you were saying earlier, the long form, does it have to be? No, you can make it anything you want to. You can make it 4 shorts. They don't have to be an hour. They don't have to be 90 minutes. I look at somebody like, what's her name, that does Insecure, 28 minutes every, how many little episodes. And it's enough to like keep you entertained for that, to tell the story. But I think for us as a community, to just like to support the work, also to encourage the work, and also to really I like what AJ had to say. It's like he wanted to stay in the game. So he was like, let me go figure out what I need to do so I can at least, if we're going to make our next movie, I know the post houses I can go to. It's the same thing, and I know that what I do, and I know that Eseel does. We look at what are our opportunities. She and I and Winston, we get to play not just in the Asian space or in the Filipino space, but we can play in the mainstream space. But then we want to bring people with us because that's really important. So for us, it's like on that whole mentorship, but also like to support. But I think we're living in a time with this generation, whatever it is, the TikTok generation. I don't want to see them lose an opportunity to tell their story by just doing the dance on TikTok, you know, because that's it's not that it's a waste of time, it's a great place, but use that as an opportunity to really share your story. So I look at those two, like we said, Diane and the young lady, I can't think of her name, God. What's her name? Mallory. And she's all, and then I also look at what's her name, Jamora Marie, and I think she's doing something tonight over on, you know, Cinema Sala. So there's a lot of good energy that's out there for Filipino up and coming Filipino writers who are looking for that tribe, that family that can support them in a talent side of way. Because we got some talented people. I think, you know, Rod, hearing you, it's like, you know, you were beat down. You didn't know there's nobody else to help you. I hear that a lot. I hear that, you know, from a lot of other filmmakers, and, you know, it's like, it is part of, I think, that game that's played there. However, I would never want to have you be so disillusioned that you stop. So I'm glad you moved over into prose, because I think you guys, John, all you guys who are writers, you can tell that story. I'm not that creator. I'm the other side. I'm the audience. So I have the best job that I can do doing PR and marketing, because I get to like share your work with other people and support what you do. So I'm just saying, I think we're in a time of opportunity. I think we're in a time where we can support each other. I think we're a time where we could probably have a brown person, a Filipino person, Filipino Canadian to be the lead. You know, I look at look at what's on TV, and also we could just make our own. I mean, where is he? Look at Romeo with his Netflix series. You know, but it took him a while to get there, but you're doing it, right? So I just think it's there. I think it's just, you know, I don't want us to end on this like, oh, it's so hard. Yes, it is hard. It is not easy. So let's be real about that. It's work. And if we're willing to put in the work, and if we can find those resources, you know, to like share with one another, I think they're there. You know, and that's the thing. It's just, and for us, it's like each one bring one. You know, if I can get through the door, maybe I can bring some like 3 other people through the door. You know, it's like when we used to like crash those, you know, classified parties, you know, the door would open, they'd all run through, right? But I love that we talked about that, because Mooney, you were so on point, because we were all thinking, God, whatever happened to classified and that whole moment, and it was freestyle, and it was like, it was a Northern California thing, then it spread down to the Southern California thing, and then it kind of went to this void, you know, where it's just kind of quiet. But I think, but then I look at somebody like, what's her name? Eseel, what's that girl's name? Ruby
Ibarra.
Thank you. She's like the next one, you know, but we need more of her, people, not her, but people who are like her, more of those artists that can be supported. But if you ever listen to her work, she's just deep. And
her is good too. I like her.
Oh, her, hello.
Her.
Oh my God.
Can I continue on that, Winston?
Yeah, what's that, Seal?
Can I continue on that?
Yes, please. No, please.
I think what I was able to intimately see here in the flip side conversation, and you can see it like in Mallory's conversation about her film, is you had resources and investors that supported you and allowed you to not have to translate what being Filipino is.
Thank you.
And that comes through strongly obviously in Flipside and in Mallory's film too. And having that type of ganas behind you to like just get it done.
Yep.
That's what like I think comes through for the audience, and that's probably what like, you know, Elvis Mitchell was cackling at. Like it was like unadulterated, like this is who he is.
Right.
And to answer your question, Winston, is there's a shit ton of talent out there, people who can create. But I think if we're able to organize resources that will say, yo, I don't know what you're about, but I feel like you got something there. I'm going to give you this, no strings attached. That would be the kind of like honeypot we should kind of get. I only have $5 to contribute to that.
No,
We gotta get some.
point.
We gotta get some Jollibee money.
Yes, exactly. Rex said it.
Come on,
Jollibee.
Jollibee.
That's what we need to do, is marry corporate with cultural.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Exactly.
one of the things we haven't adapted to very well as a community is to publicly support public art, right? And that's all phases, not just here in the in the States, but in the Philippines as well. They talk about how folks look at ballet, or look at music, classical music and traditional music and dance, or as afterthoughts, after a disaster, That's when they give their charity,
Hey,
so
Winston,
that has to be championed. Yes. Yes.
Hey, I wanted to bring up. I mean, I know we're getting really deep into the support, the community stuff, but I do want to say something extremely a positive byproduct from the flip side.
Yes.
I got to know a lot of you. A
Yeah.
lot of you folks, you guys, some of you became really good friends. I had vacations with some of you. I vacationed with Rod, like I had Joma. We've hung out a couple of. I mean, I've Dave and Rex, like a lot of you guys, we became like friends through just this was a starting point for us to just kind of check in with each other and see each other on the peripheral, and I think that's another positive byproduct is that we got to know so many good folks and friendships, aside from doing the art for the sake of saying the art. I think just the fact that it brought people together that would have probably our paths would have never crossed. I didn't even know Rod existed. I thought the only Pulido we're talking about was this guy from UCLA, and then I met like this other, and then I met Rod, and
the president of the world.
Right, man. Star Wars geek. We watch, we watch Star Wars movies together. We unfortunately watched Arrival together. I mean, it's a.
Oh,
it was. We did.
I liked Arrival.
No, the movie's a piece of crap. So Flip Side's a much better film. Watch the Flip Side. I'm just saying that, like, aside from all of this, like, it really brought this group.
Yes.
Like, I have a story with almost everybody
Yep.
on this panel, and it's great. And we, aside from this great work of art, again, this work of art brought this together, and even everybody on Facebook. I know some of them too because of this. So I appreciate that, and thank you, Art. Thank you for the art. Thank you, Rod, and everyone for giving us this gift. And that 20 years later, we can look back and say, man, we're still talking to we still recognize each other. Joel Lavares on Facebook wants to remind Rod that Rod taught us how to sneak donuts into a movie theater.
That's right. Brilliant too, by the way. Brilliant.
I used to, what I would do is I would buy like Entenmann donuts and Krispy Kreme, and I would wrap them like birthday presents. And I'd pretend like they were birthday gifts for people.
Guys, do not do that. Do not.
Yeah, but going off what Mooney was saying, I look at everyone at on this panel, and I think of you all as family. You guys are my family.
Yes.
And there's so much love that I feel for all of you, and we wouldn't have been able to make the movie and go to Sundance without all of you. I know that in my heart. And that's what it takes. I think the lesson here is the community has to support our creators. We have to find ways to get our artists the money, because that's really the hard part. The talent is there, but the funding, that's another story. So I would love to see all of the rich Pinoys out there who have made it. I like to see people like the Neptunes, or just anyone who's made it big, Apple Diab, all these people who are in a position to make things happen, that have the funding, support our own. And because I know people are saying that Hollywood is becoming more diversified, and you do see that, with roles like in Spider-Man, with Jacob, and you see that all throughout, But the simple fact is that there aren't any creators that can tell our story. Sure, they might give us a role here and there, but are we really playing Filipinos? Are we telling our stories? And as far as that's concerned, I don't really see a change in that. And it's on us still. We are the ones who have to make it happen.
Rod, you were qualified to tell our story properly. That's the other thing. I'm somewhat in the industry. I work for a company that is in the industry. There are Filipinos there. There are executives, but
yeah,
they don't have that sense of awareness that you did, because you went through those paths. Say like and with John and even Rex. The reason why Rex's comedy resonates is because he went through that path. He went through that. You went through that path of Filipino-American identity and proper study. Some of the folks in positions of power or positions of wealth, the sense of identity awareness, it's not there. It's unfortunately not there. So not only, yes, we need those stories, but you were the right person to tell the story, because you had the perspective that was conscious, and unfortunately there are people out there that don't have that perspective, and they think, oh, they'll just cobble something together and it'll be cheap.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that. There's there's people like Dean Devlin, but he didn't grow up like us, and I think that's why he didn't throw down when it came to throwing down money for the debut, because he was a bit connected to us for the longest time, for a while. But I think he didn't grow up in Cerritos, he didn't grow up in San Jose, and I think that basically led him not to finally give us some dough. But he has some power, and he's done a lot. He had his own, what's that show he does right now?
Almost Paradise.
Then he had the librarian and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Cool to prop him up as a Filipino dude in the industry, but like I said, he didn't grow up in the scene. I think we need that Pinoy who grew up in the scene. We need the Elon Musk who used to pop, or something like. We need Elon Musk
used to pop.
Used to pop. We need that, our version of that.
Hey.
But,
hey guys, we have Ryan. We got Ryan Murphy. We have Ryan Murphy.
That's right, Ryan Murphy.
Telling the story of one of the most famous serial killers in Filipino history. Come on, stop complaining.
Ryan Murphy's relatives, if you're watching this, let him know.
Is he part Pinoy?
No.
He keeps hiring. He hires our actors, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he tells us stories.
Almost every Netflix TV show has at least one Filipino in them.
Yeah.
We're making headway. The bottom line is we're making headway more than before. I'd
like to say something. This
we're
is
officially over, but yes, go ahead, Joma.
Just to, because I know there's folks out there who have younger relatives who have a lot of talent, and they've shown it, and they've already had successes in creating stuff. But not everybody's family is like the Pulido family, where they're supportive of your creativity, and it's disappointing to talk to their older relatives and they say things, oh yeah, they're doing that, it's great, we support it, but we want them to try something else once in this next year, but they're in their teens and their 20s. If you have a young creative in your family, you need to make sure that they go all out on that creativity in their teens and 20s, because that is such an important time. That's the late nights, building your network, absorbing the creativity from the universe and just putting it out there. And then if they choose to change, when they're in their 30s and 40s, sure, they can go to school then and do something else. That's fine. A lot of people start nursing then. But if you try to have them hedge their bets now, there's just not enough energy for that, and I know some creative, talented younger folks. I'm not saying who you are, because I know your families, but I really wish that you could just go all out, your teens and 20s. That's the time to do it. Don't hedge your bets. You can do that. You can always transition.
Can I add something?
Go ahead, Abe.
I think the biggest problem we do have the talent and the whole thing like that, but a lot of us are still making it in the United States about especially finances. That's the reason why they call it business entertainment, not business art, because majority of the people that want to put their money on, they want to make money. And listening to Dean Devlin, that's the main thing about him. He has to make money. The studio has to make money. We can tell all the stories that we have, but I think the way that we can do it ourselves is just to make it. You know, just like I said a while ago, we have the talent with the technology. It's easy to do that now with the new technology. So we just have to keep making movies our own, not waiting for finances from somewhere else. Because if we do that, majority of the people that put money in the industry they want their money back. They want to know about their ROI. So it's a business. Have to run it as a business. But with the technology we have, with the talent that we have so many talented people. We can get together and make the movie, and we can produce it and distribute it our own. I think to me it's just as simple as that.
Wonderful.
We have to do it our own.
Beautiful word.
Hey, Winston, this is Mark.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add on to what Joma was saying, and I feel it needs to be said. Okay, Joma said something that not everyone has a family like the Pulido family. But then Rod said something, you're all my family. Okay, so I'm gonna put this out there. Okay, I feel that my dreams were realized over the past 20 years, thanks to Rod's success in early 2001. I was able to get elected later in 2001, and then serve for 20 years. And I just wrapped up. I'm retired now. And so what I'm focusing on is trying to get the next generation of public servants elected, because we have the same concerns about being at the table, having our voice, making an impact for our community. All right. And so what I've been trying to do is make myself available to others who have those similar dreams and to get their back. And if they have doubters within their family, I say, let me talk to them. I make myself available. So for to add on to what Joma is saying about, hey, there's some young, talented sisters and brothers, not just some, but a lot of young, talented sisters and brothers, but maybe they don't have the love and support from their immediate family. But I'm just saying that what I've learned from this group right here is that we're all family. And so I'll get their back. I don't know them. I don't know who they are, but let me just say this. If you know who they are and they feel alone and unsupported, let me know and I'll talk to their parents. I'll be glad to talk to their parents and their grandparents or aunties and uncles, who might have been throwing shade or doubt their way when they should be showing them some light, like the young sister who just spoke at the inauguration.
Right.
We need to be that light.
Right.
We need to have the courage to be that light. And if we could all support each other so that we could be courageous, bold, and beautiful, let's do that.
Wow. A lot of beautiful things said tonight. Beautiful, Mark. And in summation, I'm going to, Anna, if you don't mind, I'm going to use your terms. A community has to support our creators, unquote. Begin quote. Community is family, unquote. So thank you guys for this evening. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. We could talk more. Congratulations to the Flip Side, Rod, cast and crew, and to you people who were there. To finally, last but not least, our viewing and listening audience, thank you for taking the ride here with us. We're going to end with 2 clips, but before that, Rod, you're going to offer up some news regarding the movie for people who haven't seen it or would like to see it.
Oh yeah, for so long, people have been asking me about the movie and where they can watch it, and so we put it up for free on YouTube during the pandemic, and we got such a great response. All the young generation watched it, and people on Twitter were Googling me, and they're freaking out how old I actually am, and which is funny. And yeah, so now it's back up, and pretty much. I'm going to leave it up for anyone who wants to watch it, I think people need to watch this movie, you know, so it's pretty much up for good now.
Great. There it is. 20 years after the fact, the flip side still zings. Thank you. Good evening, good morning, good day, and we'll see you at the movies.
Yeah, 30 years from now.
20th, guys.
15 years from now, we'll have another one.
Let's take another group photo, folks, on 3. Ready?
Oh,
1,
yeah.
2, 3.
Yay.
All right. I'll go ahead and play the final 2 clips.
Good seeing everybody.
Good seeing you guys.
There you
Take
go.
care.
Thanks,
Stay safe.
Mark.
Congratulations, everybody.
guys.
Congratulations.
We never got to the glove story, but that's okay.
Oh.
Yeah. They'll be on the special features.
Got away with it.
Oops. Hold on a second. Stop share. I had it queued up. There it is. While I'm queuing it up, maybe John, you could tell about the gloves.
I actually don't know that the terror of me losing Rudy Pulido's gloves in the middle of Sundance. I realized when I arrived at Sundance, I didn't have any gloves, and I wasn't prepared for the harsh winter. And Rudy Pulido was gracious enough to lend me his gloves. And then I realized at some point that I lost them. And then I was hoping that he would never ask for them. And I felt like, that one Brady Bunch episode where he accidentally breaks the painting or the picture, and he's like terrified, the family photo. I was just terrified the whole time, like waiting for oh, there's a picture of the glove right there. But, yeah, and then he's like, and then that moment came where he asked for them, and I was like, oh shit. Man, where's my gloves? And I don't know if I ever told you guys that I lost them. I don't know. Did I ever tell you guys that I lost them, or that I was in fear of him asking for them?
Yeah, John. We all knew that you lost our dad's gloves, and we were actually all scared for you. Of all the things to do is piss off our dad, up at Sundance.
The reason we all knew you lost them is because my dad wouldn't let it go. He kept harping on you. He kept saying, gee, I wish I had, I'm going outside now. I wish I had some gloves.
Wait, was it the only pair he had? Like, I thought he could give me a
But I'm gonna be honest, bro. My dad went easy on you, and he was just having a good time, just making you sweat. So
okay.
It's all love. All right.
I also say that I'm the one who.
That's how Dad shows his love.
You have to make that your next movie, John, about a lost pair of gloves.
Okay, I got the last 2 clips. Let me know if it queues up right. Oh man, sorry, Mom Peping. You're the last clip. Let me try that again. One more time. This one. Open with QuickTime Player.
Yes, speaking of Mang Peping, I have a photo from a rarely seen photo from the shoot that I have of him. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh.
Can you see it?
Rob is gonna show his photo.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
Before the clip.
Sorry, Verwin, you got cut out.
At least Bernie got some gloves there. Okay, here we go.
Really aged in that picture.
I learned a new sentence in Tagalog today. You guys want to hear it? Alam niyo po ba na magpagagawa ng ilong job si Marvick?
What?
So when are you going to tell us?
Eventually.
When?
I don't know. When the time was right.
When?
When I felt like it.
You mean after you done this already?
Look, I'm 24 years old. I should be able to do what I want with my life and my nose.
Not while your nose is still living under this house.
Well, maybe my nose will just have to move out.
Look, Maribik, you are still my daughter.
Still?
What?
Nothing.
Why didn't you tell us?
Well, now we know. Let's not dwell on it.
I'm not dwelling on it. But if I have to dwell on it, I will dwell on it. Dwell, 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 dwell.
Look, she is serious about this, so let's deal with the problem.
You approve of this?
Like she said, it's her nose. Besides, she is working for it.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. Do you believe what you're saying? Because I don't believe what I'm hearing.
I still cringe when I say Eseel. Like that's just so horrible. Like that like a thing in my heart. And let me tell you, and like I want to say too, like after the film, like at our subsequent screenings, in San Francisco, blah blah blah, people would like come up to me and like look at my nose and be like, "Did you?"
You went super method.
Yes, I was like, yes, I know. I paid $10,000 for that. Overtime at the mall.
All right, I got the last clip, and okay, with Mang Peping. Before I play it, anyone want to say anything about Mang Peping? I just want to say this, that in the summer of '97, when Rod was doing the shoot, I wish he could have been around a little bit more, but I was in DC for a couple of conventions, founding conventions for FILCRA, Filipino Civil Rights Advocates, and NAFA, National Federation of Filipino-American Associations. And they had back-to-back protests at the White House. The World War II veterans chained themselves to the White House fence, demanding for equity, for rights, for recognition. And among them, leading the way, was Mang Peping. And when Rod was saying that they're ready to do the shoot, and he still hadn't cast someone for the role of the Lolo, I immediately thought of Mang Peping. And I'm so glad that Rod was able to meet with him and eventually cast him. You want to say anything else, Rod, before I roll the clip?
Can I add something?
Oh, Rod, you're on mute.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's cool. Go ahead, Verwin.
Yeah, I think Mang Peping, for me, he was the realest thing throughout that process. Like, I feel like he wasn't even acting. He was just real, and there is so much weight and gravity to him as a person, and then he brought that to the character. And we didn't even know where he came from. Like, I'm glad you told that story, because we were auditioning while we were shooting, and we were thinking, oh man, we don't have a Lolo yet. And we had some funny auditions where like some guy just stood up, said, I can't do this. And he walked outside, started smoking a cigarette. And we're like, we're never gonna find a Lolo. And when Mang Peping came, it was just like magic. He was like the best thing. And he was always super real with you and took his time and really made everything easier when you did scenes with him. He was the kindest person, even though he went through all those things. And I really appreciate him. I think we all miss him.
Yeah. I want to say that he rejuvenated our set, because we only had the camera for a month, and it was already 3 weeks in, and we still didn't have a Lolo. And I was thinking, man, we're gonna have to shut down and shoot his parts later. Then Mark brings Mang Peping home. And as soon as he stepped foot on the set, I knew he was the guy. Just his demeanor, and he was so full of energy and happy. And I remember when it came time to shoot the Death March scene, he looked over the script, he read it, and I told him, you've lived this, you've been through it, so if anything sounds inauthentic to you, feel free to change it. And he read it over, and he said, don't change a word, which was really gratifying to me. The scene is based on interviews that Mark did with our own Lolo, Alfredo Lagme, who was also a Death March survivor. So I knew it rang true. But yeah, I think out of all the scenes, that Death March scene is the reason I made the movie. I mean, the flip side is this funny satire, deals with identity, but that scene is the key because it props up our real heroes in the community. And they aren't basketball players, they aren't rock stars, they're real life people who struggled for our people to make it in America. And that's why I wanted to make the movie. I'm getting all misty-eyed right now just thinking about what he brought to the film, because he's amazing in it. And he's not acting, he's being himself. He is the Lolo, every part of him.
Rod, I just wanted to say one last thing before I play the clip. But I want to thank Rod for putting some texture to Darius's character when he came back home, and he put on the bahag, right? He also threw up a bunch of articles and pictures up on the wall, and all of those, if you don't know the backstory, is from a news magazine that we published over at UCLA called Pacific Ties, and this is in 1990, and the very last issue was called the Puro Pinoy edition, and hence Rod named his production company Puro Pinoy Productions, and it was in that sentiment that he put stories out, to give a voice for our community, and that one story that he built this around was a story of pain and struggle that our grandfather, my mom's dad, right, endured as a Bataan Death March survivor, World War II veteran. And he had passed on. And so when Mang Peping was cast for the role of Lolo, he's for real. He lived that same story. And he's even more real because he wasn't just some veteran, but he was a leader in our community, our Filipino-American community here in Southern California, member of the Golden Agers of Los Angeles, involved at FOSG, Filipino-American Service Group Incorporated, was involved with American Coalition for Filipino Veterans. He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. And this next scene captures his story and the story of our people, one of struggle, one of determination to make a difference. So with that, the final clip. The flip side.
When Bataan surrendered to Japan, the Japanese forces forced us to march to their concentration camp. 4 days, 4 nights, we marched. No food, no water, nothing. My comrades who fell were beaten. Many were stabbed with bayonets. I remember it was anger. Anger and pride kept me going. I vowed not to let those bastards break me. I wanted to stop, but I can't. Anger kept me on going, marching.
It makes me sick that you had to go through that. I never learned anything like that in class. I mean, about Filipinos.
Wow. That, Rod, if you want to say the last word.
Well, that scene tells it all. You know, God, he was so real, and it was a privilege to have him on the set. Him speaking from his own experience, and like I said, he gave the film its soul. Without Mang Peping in the flip side, it wouldn't be nearly as good. And him stepping on to the set just reaffirmed for me and I think for us all, the reason why we were making the film. It was for people like him, people who fought for our people who uplifted our community. And we just wanted to pay tribute and honor him and all the other World War II veterans. But God, I just want to say thank you to everyone, all of our panel, and all of our cast, and everyone who's joined us on Facebook. It means so much to us that you guys want to celebrate the 20th anniversary with us, and that our film is still relevant in the community's eyes. So thank you all, and happy 20th, everybody.
Woohoo.
Here's to more Pinoy cinema from all the creators out there. You could do your thing.
All right. I'm just unmuting everyone if everyone wants to say goodbye. And all right.
Bye.
Bye, you
See
guys.
everybody.
Hey,
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Good to see
Bye,
you.
everyone.
See you guys. After
Bless
party at
everybody.
Chillers. See you guys.
Love you guys.
After party, my heart.
Say bye.
Bye. Love you.
Stay down, stay brown.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording, but if you want to stick around.
After party?
Can you save the
Okay, we're
chat,
off the
Mark?
live stream, and I'm going to end the recording.
Mark, can you save the chat?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Everyone save the chat if you want to.
Hey, can we see the past comments on the Facebook chat?